owners were controlled by China's Communist Party.
Fox's Eben Brown. President Biden speaking now at a trades union conference, picking up their endorsement. A ruling could come soon from the judge in former President Trump's New York criminal trial about possible gag order violations. That trial is not in session on Wednesdays. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
What a pretty looking sky around town. Partly to mostly sunny skies, dry air. 68 for the high this afternoon. Tonight, clear skies. Let's drop it out of the 60s once the sun goes down. Chilly again overnight, 45. Thursday, partly sunny, 75. Just a slight chance of an afternoon shower on Thursday. Developing showers and thunderstorms late Thursday night and throughout the day on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Life is challenging and ever-changing. Take control with passive income through real estate investing. Learn how. Learn now. Let Del Walmsley and Lifestyles Unlimited's investors and mentors show you. Meet Del's team live in St. Louis 2 days only at the Hilton Frontenac. Saturday and Sunday, April 27th and 28th. Register now at GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. That's GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Enter promo code 2024 for a special discount offer. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Code 2024.
What better way to support your nutrition than with the multivitamin that was created right here in St. Louis? Neovitin Original Multivitamin was created by St. Louis physician Dr. Ribicki to support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Now, Neovitin Original Multivitamin is formulated with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Ribicki's proprietary blend to give you nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Neovitin is now conveniently available through our no-obligation monthly subscription. Cancel or pause at any time, and shipping is free. Today.
Experience the beauty of custom-crafted windows that enhance your home's aesthetics and energy efficiency. Look no further than Infinity from Marvin, proudly brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. Why choose Infinity? These windows are not just strong, they're 8 times stronger than vinyl, providing unmatched security for your home. Plus, with Lakeside's expert installation, you're guaranteed precision and perfection. Visit our showroom or call Lakeside Renovation and Design today. Elevate your home with Infinity from Marvin, where strength meets style.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility in this election year? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 38 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Don't pay retail for your diamond engagement ring or gift. Come to cleanorigin.com, where experts in ecologically friendly lab-grown diamonds. Mention code RADIO10 for 10% off. That's cleanorigin.com online or one of our retail stores.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
You entrusted a nursing home with the care of a loved one, but they violated that trust. If your family member has been the victim of nursing home neglect, call Onder Law at 844-BEDSORE.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
But a lot of people are like, oh my God, October 7th. But like, no, this is since 1948.
If you really look at what's going on in Gaza, you can see it's just really inhumane.
People are saying, well, but what about the Jewish community that is under attack as well? The women that were raped, the kids that were put into ovens.
Wait, I thought that was...
It was not. The UN came out with a report.
That was denied. Was that not denied? I believe it was. I believe it was.
It actually happened.
I thought that was denied.
And I've talked with some of the
I don't know the resources.
as well.
I don't know the resource. But like I said, we're not here to condone any...
No.
Like, we're not here for violence at all.
Do you feel like that you could separate the two and you say, hey, let's just talk about the humanitarian aspect of it without talking about the larger conversation of Hamas using the people that you care about, I care about, as human shields? Like, does that concern you?
It does concern me. It does. It's actually really unfortunate. And we're not, we don't look highly at that at all.
Lawrence Jones, Fox News' Lawrence Jones, talking to two of these supporters. I know that it's the easiest way to identify them as like the Palestinian supporters, but that's not what they are. Brad, they are not people who are out there advocating for what is on the surface. What's the easiest thing to label them? If you're protesting because you want safety and security in Gaza for the Gazan people, you can't look at Israel as the source of the destruction that is taking there.
Right.
When Hamas, the people who are in charge of Gaza, build underneath the humanitarian schools, the hospitals, the places of refuge that these people in Gaza, they seek out these places for shelter, and Hamas goes, where can't Israel hit us without having to pay a higher cost under a hospital? All right, let's build in these tunnels. Let's build up our enterprise under a hospital. When they attack us, the world will look at Israel like, how dare they attack a hospital? And Hamas will be able to exist in that capacity. Hamas is doing that. And it's not like Israel woke up on a Sunday morning and said, we're going to take out Hamas today. We're going after Hamas. No, the atrocities that were committed in Israel, yes, on October 7th, to these ignorant supporters of, I'm just going to call them Hamas, because if you're not taking your ire about the treatment of Gaza, the Gazan people, directly towards Hamas, then you're ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
Listening to them just set aside October 7th as if it's just a footnote in the story is obscene. It is absurd. And it's very difficult for me to be like, these are pro-Palestinian supporters. You are either supporting Israel or Hamas in this conflict. Is that wrong to say?
No, I don't see how you can say I know people say they want a two-state solution, but one of the parties involved in this conflict doesn't. They're not interested in a two-state solution, where the other one would be like, yeah, for sure, let's do this, whatever, stop shooting rockets at us, we'll be happy. Let us exist, you exist, we'll do our thing, you do your thing, we're happy with that. But the people of Gaza, the Palestinians, they don't want that. That's the chant, from the river to the sea. The river, for those of you who don't know, is the Jordan River. To the sea is the Mediterranean Sea. They're saying that whole area needs to be liberated for Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what's in between the river and the sea?
Israel.
Israel needs to be removed. You hear people at Columbia University telling Jewish students to go back to Poland. This is not, it's not pro-Palestinian. It's anti-Israeli.
Yeah.
It's anti-Jewish.
Anti-Jewish. Joe Biden spoke on the protests.
I condemn the anti-Semitic protests. That's why I've set up a program to deal with that. I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians.
I condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians. This has been the talking point in the last 24 hours. Of course, I wasn't here yesterday. You know, when your kid comes home from school, if they have a slight fever, they have to be fever-free for 24 hours before they can go back to school. I get it. That was a pre-COVID rule. So yeah, I saw a couple people being like, kind of pushing back on. I put a tweet out yesterday, and they were like, trying to suggest that somehow or another it's ridiculous to if the kid is fine to have to sit out like all these newfangled rules. I don't want other people's kids in school with my kid if they had a fever yesterday.
Right.
Simple. And it's easy. My husband we've had broken bones. My son tripped in his room and smashed his face into a desk and busted up his lip and had to have stitches, and we have had quite a year. And my husband bears the brunt of those days off. So I took yesterday off to serve the 24-hour fever-free sentence with my daughter. I didn't mind it, I'm going to be honest. But I did watch some news while I watched Wish, which is the Disney movie that's out, and we watched Princess and the Frog, and then I watched Jesse Waters and some Laura Ingraham, and tried to pick up on some Gutfeld to catch up. But did you guys talk yesterday about good people on both sides?
No.
Have you heard people talking about this?
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump in Charlottesville. People are comparing the protests right now to the Charlottesville protests. They're not even really comparable. But Donald Trump came out and had the famous phrase of "they're good people on both sides," which is, I mean, have you ever gone fishing?
Yes.
What do you fish for?
Usually bass.
You ever fish for bluegill?
Yes.
You've gone fishing for bluegill?
Yes, but I usually take a little kid with me whenever we're doing that.
Why?
Because they're easy to catch.
Because they're easy to catch.
I've caught bluegill on, those little white flowers from clover? I just had a hook, and so I threw that little clover on the hook and threw it out there and moved it around. Bang, it hit it.
The clover bait is like the good people on both sides bait.
Yeah.
You just dangle it out there, and it's like, boom, got one. And somebody is just like, yeah, he said there were good people on both sides. That's how you know he's a white supremacist. And it's like, do you feel better now that you got that off? And then you throw the bluegill back because it's gross and worthless and too many bones. That's what I hear. I don't eat fish. Yeah, you're going fishing for bass. Maybe you're trying to catch, crappie, or the catfish is totally different. Rig, if I have listened to anything. I will bait a hook.
Mm-hmm.
I've done crickets. There was a time in my life, it's probably when I was trying to get my husband to propose to me, where I would bait my own hook with cricket. Totally don't have a problem doing worms. I like to bass fish. I love being out on a john boat in a lake or fishing from a dock somewhere quiet and calm. Love the whole experience. I will take the fish off the hook if I have a glove. I'm not touching that thing without a glove. Sorry. I feel like I've met the moment enough to not have to be like, yeah, I'll touch that fish with my hands. I probably would if I did it more, but no. When you're trying to have an intellectual conversation with somebody, it's kind of like bass fishing. It requires a little skill. You got to know where to find these people. If you put your fishing pole down on the dock and the hook is like, just because you're baiting your kid's hook or something like that, you put your pole down. If the hook is 18 inches down and it even grazes the top of the water, you're catching a bluegill.
Yeah.
It's jumping out of the water because it can't help itself. It's like, I got to get in the game. I got to get it. I got to bite that hook. I can't pass it up. It's right there. It's almost in the water. And then you got yourself a troll who's trying to tell you that, the president told you to drink bleach, and, the fear that Americans are so stupid that they would inject themselves with bleach after Donald Trump said to do so when COVID was happening. Do we have any of those people in the chat yet?
Not yet.
Where are they? Come back, people. These are the kind of conversations that we have. The Charlottesville one, big time hoax that Donald Trump came out and said that there were good people on both sides, meaning that that these white supremacists are just misunderstood. That was the implication of what the bluegills in the media, they couldn't help themselves. Just like start calling them bluegills. It's perfect that they're blue. What if they were red gills? I'd have to change the whole analogy. The bluegills in the media, Charlottesville was the hook that was hanging 1 inch over the calm pond water, and they just couldn't help themselves, and they're jumping out. It's like nobody even wants you. Nobody's even asking for you. Nobody showed up to the pond to see you, bluegill. Get back in the water where you belong. But you can't stop. You can't help but catching them. There are good people on both sides. False. What Donald Trump said, first of all, he criticized the a-hole white supremacists that were out there. He did. Go listen to the tape. There was a time in the show where I dedicated an enormous amount of my energy doing research to explain to you how Donald Trump wasn't racist. You'd have to find that on my Twitter timeline because I put the work in and it's there somewhere. Donald Trump explicitly condemned the white supremacist aspect of people who were taking over what was going on in Charlottesville, which was a Robert E. Lee statue. And what he was saying is there were good people on both sides of the statue's existence where it was in that moment. He wasn't saying that the white supremacists were good. And in fact, you can take that to the bank because he said so much that they weren't good people. But that's not useful to the yip bluegills who won't stay off the freaking hook. They see that and it's like it's a feeding frenzy. And it will last years and years and years later. Now we have Joe Biden, who is up crap creek right now because the Democratic Party as a whole is splitting down the middle because somehow or another, Joe Biden has to be the two-state solution that everybody knows is an impossibility and tell the Palestinian supporters, false narrative, tell the protesters that are out there, the people in Michigan who he needs to vote for them, that he's there for them and he understands them. I see you. I feel you. I understand you. From the river to the sea. Oh, Jewish voters in the Democratic Party, I see you too. Good luck with that. It's not working. He's effectively saying there are good people on both sides. And I'm not the first person to say this. I've heard a lot of people saying it, but it is a very, very good point. I was watching one Fox interview and there was an Obama speechwriter, Obama advisor or something that was on there. And he's Jewish, very well-spoken, seemed like a very nice man. I can't remember what his name is. Hogan Gidley was on that. And Howie Kurtz, is that his name?
Kurtz, yeah.
The three of them were on there, and they went first to the Obama advisor or whatever to talk about the difficulty that Joe Biden has here in threading this needle. And he said, listen, I'm a Democrat, but I'm a Jewish person. And he goes in this long explanation of how Joe Biden has been completely resolved. And if you listen to Joe Biden, he'll say ironclad. That's his word. In his support for Israel. And then he goes on to list all of the things that this Biden administration has done to support Israel. They were all true statements. There was no lie detected there. The problem is that's only 50% of the story. And this is exactly why the Biden administration, and more so the Biden campaign, it's almost like the Biden administration supports Israel, but the Biden campaign supports the protesters. And he has to serve both masters. He has to make sure that he doesn't abandon our greatest ally in his actual job, but he has to make sure he doesn't abandon enough of his Democrat supporter allies who need to show up to vote for him come November. So when you listen to somebody, and they're going to do this on Twitter, the bluegills are all over Twitter as well. They cannot help themselves. They have a fully stocked pond on X. When it comes to it, you could be on either side of the issue. Supporting Israel, they'll give you a laundry list of things that fly in the face of if I were to say that Joe Biden hasn't been ironclad in his resolve to support Israel, it's because he's willing to do something different than what he's willing to say. Because every time he goes and has a surrogate go do a media hit somewhere, they can say that he's been in full support of one side or the other. Speak truth about it, but it's a portion of the truth. It's not the entirety of the truth. It's almost as if he's explaining the good sides on both issues. Now, I think that any intellectual person can look at what's going on in Gaza and see what Hamas is doing to the Gazan people and have a great amount of humanitarian sympathy, empathy, hurt for what these people are going through. There is something there that needs to be acknowledged. But for political interest, everything gets shifted on Israel. Shame on Joe Biden for not pointing that out, for not being the leading voice of saying, I'm with you about the oppression that the Gazan people are living under. I see you. You are correct. They have been oppressed and they need to be liberated from Hamas. Because that's where the oppression is coming from, not Israel. You think he's going to say that? Because if the true point of the protests, the encampments, they all kind of look similar. If the true effect of these protests is supposed to be a peaceful liberation of those living in Gaza who happen to be Palestinian people so they can live in peace without threat of being attacked, then tell Hamas to stop using them as human shields. After they go into the homes of people across their border and kill them, slit their throats, rape them in front of their children and spouses, and then murder them while they're live streaming it on their social media platforms. You don't get to do that and then go hide in hospitals and schools and then get the world to say, oh, Israel, how dare you? The Gazan people, how could you do this to them? No, you focus your ire on Hamas because that's 100% where it belongs. And if that's not enough for you, if that's not satisfying for you, look and see who's funding Hamas. Go straight to Iran and say, why is Iran doing this? And then ask yourself, who supported Iran? That answer to that question will make you nauseous. Let's take a quick break. The YouTube live chat poll for today. How are protests affecting the Democratic Party? Increasing support, decreasing support, or you don't think that these protests are going to have any change on the support or lack of support for the Democratic Party? I want to know what you think about it from your observations. What are these protests doing for that political party? Anti-Fry YouTube channel to go vote in live chat poll. Pick up that Odyssey app. Take us anywhere you go, AUDACY. Find 97.1 FM Talk. You can favorite the Anti-Fry Show and listen to us clear as day, anywhere you go, any time of day. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Don't go away.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Jen Teskey and RE/MAX Alliance, your number one call you need to make when you think about selling your home. Doesn't matter where you are in the process. If you're like, oh gosh, I need a realtor. The last one we tried, this is not what we needed to have. As soon as you meet Jen Teskey, you go, wish I would have known you earlier, but we can make the right choice today and get the job done the way it's supposed to be. You call Jen Teskey and RE/MAX Alliance at 618-541-1010, 618-541-1010. If you are at the other end of that spectrum and you're just kind of like peeking around the corner, you've seen some house prices and you're like, holy cow. Wonder what we could make on our home if we were to sell it right now. You got another solution for where you want to go afterwards. You're just starting the whole process, looking to downsize, whatever the case may be. Start that conversation with Jen Teskey. 618-541-1010. You are going to get the best treatment, the best team, the best results when you choose Jen Teskey with RE/MAX Alliance for your Illinois home sale or home purchase. 618-541-1010, jenteskeyhomes.com.
Mike Carter here of Carter Law Offices. You know, as an attorney, I make my way across the great state of Missouri on a pretty regular basis. And from the rivers to the lakes and the Ozark Mountains, it's really just a pleasure to travel across the great state of Missouri. And, you know, not to mention, we have the best sports team and the best cities and the friendliest small towns in America, it seems like. And Carter Law Offices wants to make sure Missouri's story gets out far and wide about our excellent business climate, our exceptional workforce. You'll hear more from me soon, Mike Carter.
Visit MikeCarter.com to see Mike's interviews with all of Missouri's elected leaders.
Mike Carter here of Carter Law Offices. You know, as an attorney, I make my way across the great state of Missouri on a pretty regular basis. And from the rivers to the lakes and the Ozark Mountains and the richest farmland around, it's really just a pleasure to travel across the great state of Missouri. And, you know, not to mention, we have the best sports team and the best cities and the friendliest small towns in America, it seems like. And Carter Law Offices wants to make sure Missouri's story gets out far and wide about our excellent business climate, our exceptional workforce. You'll hear more from me soon, Mike Carter.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
I have great investment advice for you. I should preface this by saying I have zero knowledge as an investment advisor. If you're looking to purchase a furnace and air conditioner, we have 0% financing, not on la land, save the world, save the planet systems, just on systems that we need to cool and heat our homes. Simple. If you could do that and buy that with no interest, you're saving thousands of dollars. So call me if you're looking to make an investment in your heating and cooling system and make the best investment that you can for your family, your money, your home. Call me. Did I say call me? Again, call me. Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois, 314-293-2600. Or the internet, bartinman.com. Now that is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
We're here to help you get registered to vote, whether you're in Missouri or Illinois. Democracy 2024 on 97.1 FM Talk. If you need help getting registered, go to 971talk.com/vote. This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Joe Biden was giving a speech earlier today about his signing of that foreign aid bill. You guys did a poll yesterday when I was out with my daughter on foreign aid. Did anybody support it?
Yeah.
How
I mean,
did it come out?
it was split very evenly.
The question was?
It was, do you support the House foreign aid package? And it was the options were yes, both, yes, Israel, yes, Ukraine, or no, neither.
How many no's?
That was the biggest one.
Was it over 50?
No, it was like 30%.
Okay.
And then it was
Israel?
27% Israel, and then like 18% Ukraine, and then
All was lowest.
all was like 22.
Oh, so it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Imagine that. It's interesting because that contingent of our listenership,
Mm-hmm.
that's Congress. That's the Republicans in the House. They come from constituencies that feel differently about these things. I believe that the aid packages have been very politicized. I personally can see a purpose in funding Ukraine. Not without accountability.
No.
But I don't want it to be without accountability to anything.
Right.
I don't think we have this. I didn't tell you to get it. I was listening earlier to, I think, Fox, and it was Mitch McConnell, and he was talking about $95 billion, and he said something to the effect of, that's only like 0.02% of our GDP, but that's a lot of money to them. And I'm like, maybe factually true. Don't say that out loud.
No. Also, I mean, that's a lot of money to me.
Yes, well, yeah. Where else could that money be going? Listen, if buying bullets that are made in America, so the way Joe Biden explained it today, the supplies that we're sending are coming from here, and we're replenishing our supplies with American-made products. Okay. I can stand behind that. The question is, when money has gone to Ukraine, Where has that money gone? Have you tracked it? Have you purposely not tracked it? I have questions. I have questions that maybe were being asked of Zelensky by Donald Trump in the perfect phone call.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of questions. We get no answers. And then when Joe Biden goes out and delivers his little speech today, he's talking about, it's about MAGA Republicans. He's talking about how it's amazing to listen to him deliver this speech and talk about how this is what we can do when we come together, when we unite. And then he immediately goes in and talks about MAGA Republicans and how they should have gotten it done
like
sooner.
a lot.
Yes. To me, that means he's losing.
Yeah.
If you're going to use this moment, which should be a win, this should be a political, that whole speech and spectacle should have been a produced commercial for how Joe Biden followed through on the promise to unite Americans. It would be bullcrap.
Mm-hmm.
But here's your opportunity. And he used it as an opportunity to dump on who he thinks he's going to win votes by reminding people that his opposition is a MAGA Republican. Again, the world revolves around Donald Trump. Even when Donald Trump is relegated to a courtroom, here we are. Everything comes back to him. This is the clip. Is clip 5 here the one that I asked you to get about Iran?
Let me look. Yes. Putin.
This is something that he said today. Just listen to how he articulates
Putin's
this.
friends keeping him well supplied. Iran sent him drones. Korea has sent him ballistic missiles and artillery shells. China is providing components and know-how to boost Russia's defense production. With all this support, Russia has ramped up its airstrikes against Ukrainian cities and critical infrastructure.
Are we supposed to be like, oh, gasp, when we find out that Iran is supporting what's going on in Russia? That there have been resources and assets funneled to Russia and Vladimir Putin from Iran? Can you say that in the same breath that Vice President Joe Biden and President Joe Biden have funneled resources to Iran?
I mean, I think we should say it in the same breath.
I try not to be this way, but I was offended when he said that.
Yeah. Well, I was listening to it, and like the first thing that came to my mind was pallets of cash, and then the second thing that came to my mind was how people said, "Well, no, those assets that we unfroze, they're controlled, and we can monitor how they're used." And it's like, yeah, but money's fungible. So now that Iran doesn't have to use that money that we unfroze, like even if you say all those dollars go to human aid,
fungible funds.
Even if they don't have, now that they don't have to fund that human aid out of their war chest, that frees up that money in their war chest to buy drones to send to Russia to attack Ukraine. We're buying
while we're funding
Ukraine
to defend from those drones.
Same thing with Israel. We're funding Israel to defend from drones. The huge drone strike came in from Iran. Where did that money come from? Well, we freed it up for them, so us.
I don't know if this is like innovative in American foreign policy to fund both sides of the war. I don't know that this is the first time this has happened. But putting money in the pocket of Iran seems obviously stupid.
Yes.
What do I know? Very little. I get reminded of that daily. But it does seem to me that that's not really a move that you would want to make. That putting money and resources and access into the hands of Iran is a loser outcome. Here's more from the speech.
This bill includes $1 billion for additional humanitarian aid in Gaza. We're going to immediately secure that aid and surge it, including food, medical supplies, clean water. And Israel must make sure all this aid reaches the Palestinians in Gaza without delay.
Who's standing between the Palestinians in Gaza and the aid that Israel wants to provide them?
Oh, Hamas?
Yeah, the word keeps coming up. You keep using that word. I do not think it means. Where's Inigo Montoya when you need him? Wouldn't it be funny if you could send, like a candygram, but like it's Inigo Montoya? You just send. How do you get that to Joe Biden? You probably can't. In a press corps somewhere, he just pops up. And every time he says things like Bidenomics or you keep using that word, we don't know what you're saying. We don't understand what you're talking about. I don't know that the concern here for $1 billion in aid that this $95 billion bill calls for $1 billion in aid for Gaza, and Israel must ensure that the aid reaches Gaza immediately. Yeah, you want to provide them aid. Yes, that aid has been scooped up and snatched up by Hamas. Is Israel supposed to put itself in harm's way to fight Hamas to get the Gazans this support?
I mean, it kind of sounds like it.
Wow, what a political statement that is, because that's what that is. $1 billion that he's took the time. It's a 1/95th of this entire bill is to support these people. You want to support these people? Get rid of Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
It's ironic that you can't get rid of Hamas without hurting the Gazan people. That's like proof positive of the point.
The thing that's crazy is like if Israel took and set up aid relief areas where the Palestinian people could come and get aid, do you know what would happen with Hamas? Hamas would find those people that were going to Israel for aid and they would kill them. They wouldn't allow that. They can't have that.
And then the morons at Columbia University would say that it was on Israel.
Yeah, Israel didn't give them aid. Israel didn't protect them.
One last clip here from Biden today.
But there's one thing this bill does not do: border security.
Oh, my God.
You know, just this year I proposed and negotiated and agreed to the strongest border security bill this country has ever seen. It was bipartisan. It should have been included in this bill. And I'm determined to get it done for the American people. But I'll come back to that at another moment, another time.
My FCC filter is starting to wane. My emotional filter towards this president is starting to crack.
He called that bipartisan bill the strongest border security bill the world has ever seen. I give you H.R. 2, which was by far and away is a better bill. And it's sitting on Chuck Schumer's desk in some drawer somewhere so they don't have to bring it up for a vote.
All his border security bill does is streamline the process of bringing people in here. It's absurd.
It codifies the current policies that are in place so that whatever he's doing now becomes official law. It doesn't change a thing. It won't stem the tide. It won't secure the border. The only thing they're saying is well, we'll get some more money for it. It's like, no, you don't need any more money. What we want you to do is enforce the laws that are on the books, end catch and release, send people back that don't need to be here legally. Change your definition or your understanding of what asylum is. Like what they're asking for is money to increase the courts so that these quote-unquote asylum seekers can come in and claim asylum and get their claims processed faster. Not to send them home, but to process them into the United States and make them from illegal immigrants to legal immigrants. That's what their goal is here. This Senate bill is an absolute disaster. It was a disaster. It remains a disaster. And I 100% support the Republicans who shot this thing down.
The reason why that last statement from Joe Biden pisses me off the most is because he's right. This bill didn't contain border security. And if the Republicans would have had some resolve to require it to, what Joe Biden's speechwriters understand, or whatever his cue cards understand, we'll just sum it up that way, is that they weren't going to get a bill to Joe Biden that included border security. That's not possible. Joe Biden's border security bill doesn't include border security.
Right.
It's a smart political move on the president's part. It's a smart political move on the president's cue cards part to call out the fact that border security was left off because it smacks the Republicans in the face for the issue that will lose the Democrats the election the most. Their utter limp noodle approach to the safety, security, and sovereignty of our country on the southern border. And he got the opportunity because the Republicans put themselves in a position to take it. To take that tough punch from Joe Biden's cue cards. And it's one that I think was delivered. They deserve it. I'm going to play to you this Marco Rubio clip about why he voted no on this as we go here into the break. And we'll get Wiggins America in here. He's going to talk to us about California. He says they know how to party. We're going to find out what that means and whether or not it would entice any of us to move there. Here's Marco Rubio on why he voted no.
This bill is basically saying that if I don't agree to drop my demands that the president secure our border, if I don't agree to spend billions of taxpayer dollars on all over the world to resettle people here and in other places in the midst of our own migratory crisis, if I don't agree to all of that, then Israel and Taiwan and Ukraine do not get the help they need and that I support, and that TikTok does not get banned. This is not compromise. This is legislative blackmail, and I will not vote for blackmail.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is online at igotfloored.com. Very easy website for you to remember for your flooring shopping, your purchase that you've got to make coming up. Do you know that they do both residential and commercial? So if you're somebody who is going to make the decisions for the business there and you need to get maybe a quote or something on flooring, you can go to igotfloored.com and there's a request an estimate button right there at the tippy top. You can also learn about financing and you can see the reviews. I think that this is incredibly important. You can go to igotfloored.com and read reviews from actual people who have been using this service for quite some time. They have over 1,700 reviews and 4.9 stars of 1,700 reviews. That's pretty fantastic. I know for a fact, speaking with Michael's, when I was in his store once to discuss, like he showed me around his shop and I got to see the wonderful displays and everything, how committed they are to making everything right. Because every different job isn't, cookie cutter, turnkey. Your house is unique to you. And sometimes there will be roadblocks that come up and they plow right through those roadblocks to make sure that you have a satisfied product and that you become one of the people who recommends Michael's Flooring Outlet to the next folks. If you're interested in flooring, whatever the brand, whatever the flooring finish is, go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. They're going to help walk you through the whole process. You'll be glad you did. Find them online at igotfloored.com.
It's no secret many Americans are facing economic hardship. And if you have unpaid taxes to the IRS hanging over your head, high increasing interest rates and inflation are driving what many owe to insurmountable levels. At Community Tax, we specialize in resolving your tax problems with the best possible solutions. If you owe back taxes to the IRS, relief programs are now being made available for delinquent taxpayers that can reduce what you owe and give you a fresh start. Our relief services are top-rated by the Better Business Bureau and Consumer Affairs, reducing over $1 billion in tax debt for people just like you. If you have liens, levies, wage garnishments, or are under audit, we can help. And whether you owe $10,000 or hundreds of thousands, you may qualify for significant savings. Call Community Tax for your free consultation at 800-218-5085. 800-218-5085. That's 800-218-5085.
Traffic law counselors is where we go when the police hassle us. Go to 45bucks.com.
This is Mike Carter, founder of 45bucks.com, or as you know it, Traffic Law Counselors. And right now, around tax time, we know folks are taking care of issues that they may have been putting off for a while. Maybe a driving while suspended or a warrant, things that you may have been worrying about for a little while. And we specialize in keeping folks' records clean. They come to us on a Monday, they can't drive, and by the end of that week on a Friday, we've got them back in the driver's seat driving legally. And that's very gratifying. And God forbid you're wrestling with something like a DWI. You can go to DWISTL.com. We got 10 paralegals and attorneys that are working on those cases nonstop and depositions, trials, hearings, and we can put that to work for you as well. In fact, it's the enduring success of Traffic Law Counselors that has enabled us to be the preeminent DWI attorneys in St. Louis at DWISTL.com. So now you know if you have a traffic matter, it's 45bucks.com. If you've got a DWI issue, it's DWISTL.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. This may be your last chance to get the new carefree villa home of your dreams at the Preserve in Afton. Our homes offer a lifestyle of convenience and relaxation without the burdens of lawn, landscaping, and snow removal. The Preserve is conveniently located at Watson and McKenzie Road with sales prices starting in the 480s. We will build to order or select from one of our 7 move-in ready homes at substantial savings and special financing in the 4s. Hurry, these deals won't last. Visit McKelveyHomes.com.
How are the protests affecting the Democrat Party? We want to know. Are they increasing support for the Democrats? Are they decreasing support? Or is there no change? Let us know. what you believe and why you believe what you believe by typing in Annie Fry into the YouTube page, and the poll will come up there, and you can stream it as well. 1246, this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Patriot Training Foundation trains law enforcement and military at the region's top facility free of charge. Kim Sainanj here. We're raising awareness for the Patriot Training Foundation's mission to serve those who serve our nation. Visit 971talk.com/care to learn more.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I love interrupting Janet Jackson. Makes me feel like a big star. How's it going, guys?
Not as good as you.
I'm feeling pretty good.
Feeling like an average star today.
Average star?
Yeah. Could be worse.
Well, you know you're a huge star, though.
Just call me fat.
Yeah.
Ryan, people who live in glass houses.
Oh,
No.
man.
Dude, it's getting mean. I'm taking this to HR next time. That's two
you tell him
strikes.
you started it?
No. What? Wait, what? Who started it?
We'll draw a map later.
Okay, thank you. All of these stories today on Wiggins America have to do with California. And surprise, surprise.
Just in case you're unfamiliar.
If you're unfamiliar with the fact that California exists in music, there you go.
Is there anybody who is like from a certain time that didn't have to think in their head in the city?
Oh, no, I don't know. Leah, maybe. Do you know the next line of that song?
She's not from that time.
No, that's true. You're not from that time.
She might know the song.
California knows how to party.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, was that the next line, or
It
are
is.
you wanting more?
It is. No, that's
okay.
You got it. You got it. Surprise, surprise. Not all of these stories shine a great light on California.
I'm shocked.
Do any of them?
I don't know that any of them really do. I mean, one of them is like kind of in the middle, but the first one is about the new minimum wage law. California McDonald's franchisee owner was on Fox and said the focus at this point is on survival, with unprecedented $20 per hour minimum wage forcing higher prices. His name's Scott Roderick. He owns 18 McDonald's franchises in the state. He is considering measures to manage the increased labor costs without resorting to layoffs, which he is trying to make a last resort. But since the implementation of the new wage law earlier this month, there have been several changes in the fast food industry, including already reduced employee hours, and increased menu prices. Now, at what point do legislators hear the warnings from even basic economists and go, you know what, there may be something to that, because it has been swift and immediate that the things they said were going to happen are happening.
I question whether or not they will hear those warnings, because if they do, that would mean that they would have to admit that they were wrong on this particular piece of legislation.
What are they trying to do, though? What's the goal?
The legislators?
The policy.
Like, why are they trying to?
What's the policy?
They're saying we can lift people out of poverty. We
What
can
if that's not actually
make
their goal?
them rich. Well, I think that's what they say is their goal.
Of course they say that.
But isn't their goal staying in power?
I think that the more that you end up having to provide, the more the people who vote need the providers. And if you put people in a position to need to be provided for, the higher the frequency of that, the more you get to retain power. So I think that it's always important to not look at the super obvious thing on the front, like, hey, if we pay, well, I mean, really, like, if you're going to pay everybody a $20 minimum wage, everybody would be way better off if we paid a $100 minimum wage. So let's just give them all that money. At some point, it does go to be ridiculous, but the principle is always the same. It's what you can afford and sustain while still growing. And once you cross over to the part where you are providing something that you can't afford to provide, then that means you're shrinking. And if you're shrinking, then that means that commerce, business, provision, security, all of this stuff has to be provided more from the state, which means the people making the policies who are in the state, they are needed more. So again, I don't think that there's like, we got to convince you that your policies are bad. I think the people at the top know. It's just we don't have the same goals.
And the people at the top are now a month in paying 8% more at Wendy's, 7.5% more at Chipotle's.
Ironically, those people can afford it.
Isn't that funny? And Starbucks is up around 7%, Taco Bell by about 3%, all in a month. So there you go.
If I were making $18 an hour as a 22-year-old, I would have felt like the biggest baller there was.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, the amount... I come from a time of $5 minimum wage. and I mean, I would have to work almost a half a day in order to meet up the expectation of an hour at these current rates. It's obscene. It's ridiculous. And I never would have been able to afford, like, I remember when I was paying rent, it was $500, $600 a month, and I was splitting it with a roommate. It is not that anymore. It's triple. So, yeah, I mean, the people who are leading on these policies, I believe, know exactly what they're doing.
L.A., as in Los Angeles, tests program to send unarmed civilians instead of LAPD to crises. These are test programs right now, but the officials are eager to ease the city's reliance on police officers for handling non-violence, and they've launched a new pilot program that sends unarmed civilians with some training to respond to such calls. From welfare check-ins to nonviolent mental health drug issues. You remember when we were told that these would be mental health professionals? These are civilians.
These are just people.
These are just people. Now they have some
with
training.
Some training.
How do you know that it's nonviolent?
That's a huge question.
Everything
when you
is
show up,
nonviolent until it is.
Exactly. And there are other programs like this that do exist that they're modeling after that come out of places like surprise, Portland. That they say, well, they're kind of effective. Now, it's too soon to really determine. But, yeah, it sounds great on paper. You go, yeah, well, if it's nonviolent, you send a nonviolent person who specializes in mental health.
The underlying assumption is that police are violent.
Yes. Well, and also that they would escalate violence.
Ridiculous.
All they have authority that these people don't have. And when you send in a mental health professional, hey, they might be able to de-escalate. It might work sometimes. Great. However, when it doesn't work, then what happens? That's the big question. And this is a pilot program from welfare check-ins to nonviolent mental health drug issues to minor health crises in encampments and elsewhere. We need more tools in our toolbox to truly help Angelinos, is that what Los Angeles residents are called? In need, the city council was saying. So we'll see. I have a feeling, though, that they might know that this might not work. And like Annie said, they're going to do it anyway. This one is solidifying the fact that I will now never move to California. I was really considering it until I read this article. New York Post says, now this is a serial killer. Serial spelled C-E-R-E-A-L. Some
Thanks,
of them.
couldn't.
Yeah.
We didn't know where you're going there.
Right? Yeah.
Until you spelled it.
You thought
for
I
us.
was joking about a real son of Sam killer. Nope. Some of Americans' favorite snacks and classic candies could be banned in several states due to so-called cancer-causing chemicals in their ingredients. Surprise, surprise. California is at the top of this list. And in fact, in October, California passed the so-called Skittles ban already that will make Skittles illegal by 2027 if they don't change their recipe. Some of the other foods that will be targeted by these laws are Lucky Charms, Fruit Loops, Skittles, of course, Nerds, M&Ms, and Swedish Fish. And then some like Hot Cheetos and Doritos and Gatorade because they all use some of these chemicals like potassium bromate. So this is one of those that, hey, maybe down the road we look back and we go, yeah, you know what? Those chemicals, they weren't great. We needed to get rid of those. But at the same time, it always starts in California where they don't want you to have your Skittles.
I thought those were wholesome foods.
They are if you're me.
No, those would be comfort foods.
That's when you eat them for dinner.
I don't know where this ends. Like, you
The
can't eat
segment or
Skittles.
the
Well,
food?
yeah.
About
Well,
40 seconds.
Yeah. You can't eat the food. then they raise the prices on everything through minimum wage, so they're destroying that industry. But they're also actively attacking farming because farming is the biggest cause of global warming. So we need to end farming. So,
Or sell it to China.
Like, what is the goal here?
By the way, one of the highest in the country, California. If you want to take home $100,000, you now have to make $153,000 to take home $100,000.
Deroy Murdock in the next hour. Also, Mehek Cooke finally going to have the Trump campaign on the Annie Fry Show. 125, full 1 o'clock hour coming. Don't go away.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You know, most people never get to sit down with elected officials and ask them about the important issues. I'm Judge Mike Carter, and that's exactly why I host the news talk program Justice and Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter. My goal is to bring those who represent us closer to the people they serve. I ask the questions you would in a no-nonsense manner. That's why we've been able to interview so many top local, state, and federal officials, because as a judge, I offer an unbiased, one-on-one conversation that's hard to find elsewhere these days. Besides serving as judge, I have a journalism degree, which is how the name of the show, Justice and Journalism, with me, Judge Mike Carter, evolved. You never know who we'll interview next, from Governor Parson to prosecutors, sports figures to Missouri business leaders. Justice and Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter, airs on Fox and ABC. You can also watch our past shows at MikeCarter.com, where we ask the questions and let you be the judge.
If you'd like to see more of Judge Mike Carter's interviews on his program, Justice and Journalism, visit MikeCarter.com. That's MikeCarter.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers GetJim.com studio, 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
What a pretty looking sky around town. Partly to mostly sunny skies, dry air. 68 for the high this afternoon. Tonight, clear skies. Let's drop it out of the 60s once the sun goes down. Chilly again overnight, 45. Thursday, partly sunny, 75. Just a slight chance of an afternoon shower on Thursday. Developing showers and thunderstorms late Thursday night and throughout the day on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The university has been negotiating with protesters about clearing the tents. A Columbia spokesperson says students have already agreed not to use discriminatory or harassing language and to remove protesters not affiliated with the university. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in a written statement, says anti-Semitic mobs have taken over leading universities in the U.S., calling it horrific. President Biden not answering shouted questions about the protests today as he signed a foreign aid package that includes more aid for Israel.
Passage of the foreign aid package took longer than it should have, President Biden says.
But in the end, we did what America always does. We rose to the moment. We came together. and we got it done.
The president says much-needed air defense will be sent to Ukraine urgently, within hours.
They're a fighting force with the will and the skill to win. The will and the skill to win.
The aid bill also boosts U.S. military spending for Israel following the unprecedented air attack from Iran earlier this month. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The president repeating that his commitment to Israel's security is ironclad, while also emphasizing the push to get more humanitarian aid into Gaza. A longtime New Jersey congressman has died. Donald Payne Jr. had been hospitalized since earlier this month after suffering a heart attack. The six-term Democrat was 65. His father was also a congressman who also died in office. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
What a pretty looking sky around town. Partly to mostly sunny skies, dry air. 68 for the high this afternoon. Tonight, clear skies. Let's drop it out of the 60s once the sun goes down. Chilly again overnight, 45. Thursday, partly sunny, 75. Just a slight chance of an afternoon shower on Thursday. Developing showers and thunderstorms late Thursday night and throughout the day on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Our $79 garage door tune-up extended through April. Is your garage door old and whining for attention? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis will make it all better. They'll perform their full 26-task garage door tune-up for just $79, extended through April. That's just $79 for up to 3 garage doors and openers. You need this done once a year, so why not now? And for just $79. Schedule now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan. The only place you can get it is with Stewie. You call him at 314-324-4440. You can text him at 314-324-4440 and ask about the Bagel Loan. He named it the Bagel Loan because when you go to get your mortgage, you know how the story goes. You put the offer in on the house, it gets accepted, you go to the closing, and then all of a sudden there's like thousands of dollars in closing costs that you incur. You know they're coming, but there's so many big things involved in that process that they can kind of sneak up on you sometimes. That's why you start the process with Stewie and the Bagel Loan. There are no closing costs, 0. And that's why he calls it the Bagel Loan, because the Bagel Loan looks like a 0 to remind you, no closing costs. Not with Stewie, not with Stewart's American Mortgage. 314-324-4440. Call him or text him. I am a 2-time refinance Bagel Loan customer myself, and I highly recommend it personally. 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
The IRS definitely ramped up operations since the pandemic slowed them down, and activity only increases from here. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. If you're currently under audit or you haven't paid your taxes in the past, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS has a published Taxpayer Bill of Rights, which says you have the right to retain legal representation, because IRS problems are legal problems, and the Lance Drury Law Firm focuses specifically on addressing IRS issues for our clients. It's all we do. We get out in front of the IRS, devise the best resolution plan, and work to make sure you're able to take advantage of every program you're qualified to receive. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure company, call the Lance Drury Law Firm. We're local, located right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURYlaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Drury Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
97.1 FM Talk. You're here because you clearly have a refined palate. St. Louis's home for conservative talk. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
The Lifestyles Unlimited team of real estate investing mentors and educators want to meet you. Learn to retire in 5 years or less. In St. Louis, 2 days only, April 27th and 28th. Go to GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. Promo code 2024.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. We appreciate you being with us. We're watching and monitoring across the country as more of these protests pop up, and it's something that we were talking about a little bit earlier in the show. I can't bring myself to call them pro-Palestinian protests because that's not really, at the end of the day, what they are supporting. And if you've paid attention to what's going on in the Middle East right now, you know that Hamas attacked Israel in the most gruesome, disgusting possible way on October 7th. And then went and hid behind the people of Gaza and then tried to make Israel the bad guy. Iran attacks Israel after that. We know Hezbollah is waiting in the wings as well, and everybody wants to look at Israel and ask them to be the bigger party here. And in the meantime, we see protests all across the country chanting things like from the river to the sea, chanting things like we are Hamas. This is really going on in America right now, which brings me to the question, what do these protesters actually want? What does victory look like for these protesters? We're going to ask our next guest that. Deroy Murdock joins us once again, nationally syndicated columnist and Fox News contributor. He's got a piece in The Spectator on this as well. Deroy, welcome back. Always good to have you.
Great to talk to you, Annie.
Let me ask you that question. What does victory look like to the people at Columbia, NYU, all over the country right now at these protests?
That's a good question. You know, some of them don't really want anything beyond, or at least they don't say they don't want anything beyond universities divesting from their stock portfolios any companies that do business with Israel or that provide, I assume, weapons to Israel Defense Forces, that kind of thing. And then you have people who go beyond that, the people who say things like, we are Hamas pig, folks who yell at Jewish students, go back to Poland. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. As far as I can tell, those people have no interest in the existence of Israel and want to see it wiped out. And I assume that means that all the Jews there will either be subject to mass deportation or they'll just be killed. So some of them may want to see some amount of divestment, and other people want to go even further and see the destruction of Israel, if not the destruction of the Israeli people as well.
Is there a natural conclusion to this? Because I think back to the last time we had a presidential campaign and we spent a whole summer tearing down our cities, burning down our cities, protesting in the streets. And I kind of feel like that didn't resolve a problem in the end. They just seemed to fizzle out at some point, I guess, when they became no longer politically advantageous. I don't know that this really feels the same as 2020, but I don't know what the natural conclusion of these protests might be.
I'm not sure what the conclusion is. I mean, as long as universities like Columbia roll over and play dead. Apparently they're negotiating with the protesters. What's the negotiations? Say, look, you got 10 minutes to pack up your tent and clear the lawn and go back to class. Or we're going to get the NYPD in here. We're going to kick you out of your tent, shred the tents right before you. And if your students are expelled, and if you're foreign citizens, you're deported. Any questions? I mean, you got to clamp down on these people like this. But instead, the NYPD arrested these folks, to their credit. Or Alvin Bragg, the same guy who's busy crucifying Donald J. Trump, is busy doing that. He then turns around and lets these demonstrators and frankly, terrorist sympathizers set them free, so they go back and create more chaos and mayhem. And the university administrator has said, well, we're going to go to Zoom school now because, it's just not safe here. So we're not going to bother having in-class learning. We're going to go back to Zoom school as if we were back in the COVID days. So that kind of weakness just emboldens these people to spread their nonsense and their poison to even more campuses and just try to spread the mayhem and pandemonium from the Golden Gate all the way to Brooklyn Bridge.
Well, we listened to the president respond to, he's always being asked questions about this. He very rarely answers them, at least coherently. This is one of the things he said about the protests. Let's listen in.
I condemn the anti-Semitic protests. That's why I've set up a program to deal with that. I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians.
What is President Biden trying to do with that statement when everybody sees what's going on these college campuses, the people who are not welcome to participate in the campuses, they're paying tuition to be present at? What is Joe Biden saying?
Well, he's trying to do a couple of things. One is he's trying to have it both ways and say, well, he's on the side of the Jewish students who are being deprived of their educational opportunities and, of course, their civil rights. But at the same time, he's on the side of Palestinians who, deserve a fair shake, et cetera, et cetera. What he's trying to do there is try to maximize, at least in his mind, his political viability by trying to be warm enough to Jews so they don't abandon him and also seem to be on the side of Palestinians so that he can win Dearborn, Michigan, and I assume he hopes win Michigan and its electoral votes. I think exactly what he's doing. What he's really doing by such a weak comment like that is kind of ducking and hiding. If these had been black students and people had a bunch of KKK people saying to the black students, go back to Africa, go back to the plantations, what have you, you wouldn't get a little passing comment like the one you played where he was kind of walking from the podium back to his limousine. He would be in the Oval Office giving a national address denouncing this, saying that the Attorney General himself is going to fly up to New York City with about 50 or 100 FBI agents to look into the deprivation of civil rights of the black students. And if Columbia didn't crack down on this at once, there would be investigations of any complicity on the part of Columbia. I imagine their tax exempt status might come into question, as would any federal grants to Columbia for research or anything else. And he'd probably have the entire cabinet working on this, drop whatever you're doing and get up to Columbia and, make sure you stand with the black students. So these are just Jews. So they're just Jews. So who cares? So, what does he do? He just has this little kind of offhand comment. No big deal. Who cares? And Chuck Schumer's lips have been sealed. Democrats, for the most part, have not said very much about this. To Speaker Mike Johnson's credit, he's going to be meeting with the Jewish students this afternoon. Any luck, President Trump will do this as well. You're seeing Republicans actually showing some leadership on this, but on the part of the Democrats, they're being nice and quiet because they don't want to do anything that's going to upset Muslim or Arab voters, because that might cost them a victory in Dearborn, Michigan. If that happens, they might lose Michigan. If they lose Michigan, they might lose the White House. So these guys are looking at strictly in terms of electoral votes and nothing else. And that, to me, is completely morally vacuous.
Deroy, do you feel like when you're watching these protesters, and, there's always going to be a core group of people participating in a protest like this, super passionate people. They have a worldview that may very much so differ than yours or mine. Very passionate about it, though. And then there are other people. There's almost an industry behind these types of protests, and it's kind of like what uniform or what jersey are we putting on this morning? And so you get your signs and you head out with your tents and whatever it is that you're going to use to bang on whatever it is you're going to use to bang. Do you feel like disruption is the purpose here? Do you feel like political sway is the purpose here? Because I don't know that what's going on across the country is politically advantageous to the party where the sum total of all of those people involved on both sides of this issue tend to be more left-leaning.
I think there's some of that. I mean, I think there's sort of a permanent protest industry. You'll notice that the signs these people are carrying are not the usual kind of things where you see people go to Office Depot or Home Depot or wherever it is and pick up some cardboard and some markers and make your own little, homemade do-it-yourself sign. These are printed. They're gorgeous. I saw on TV the other day stacks of these, and you could go and pick up whichever already printed sign you want. This is obviously done professionally. There's a lot of money behind this. George Soros, the sort of real life James Bond villain of our era, he's put about $650,000, if not more, into this whole effort. And so I think that these are protesters who are professional agitators. And as you say, it's Palestine today, it's transgender tomorrow, it's some union thing the next day. And I think there are people, as you say, who just go from protest to protest to protest. And this is what I guess they kind of do for a living. I've also heard this is kind of a big social deal. The same kind of several thousand or several hundred protesters pop up and they're pals. And this is, you and I might, go to barbecue with our friends or go out to the movies or whatever we do for fun. Kind of what they do for fun is protest. And so this is like their big social circle. So there's that additional aspect to it. And as you say, it's like, okay, what is the cause today and what's the chant? And they just pick it up and roll forward with the outrage.
Well, we're speaking with Deroy Murdock right now, as a Fox News contributor, also a nationally syndicated columnist. You have a piece in Newsmax right now, and you say Democrats have plotted to keep Trump off the campaign trail. I would almost say to that, Democrats have redefined the campaign trail, which is kind of what your article is about here. What do you think with all of these protests being in New York City? President Trump is in New York City. Is this an opportunity to turn some pretty sour lemons into some lemonade for the Trump campaign?
I think that's really the case. I mean, he's unfortunately, because of Alvin Bragg, our soft on crime DA, and this Judge Juan Merchan, who's completely conflicted with his daughter, who's a major Democrat activist. Trump is tied up in this court case. The trial will take place Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, with Wednesdays off, and he'll be in court all day long. But he's got his evenings free, he's got his Wednesdays free, and what Trump ought to do is use the opportunity to do what kind of like what he did last week up in Harlem, where he showed up at a bodega to show solidarity with the bodega owners who are suffering so much from crime and shoplifting and all that. He had all these people yelling 4 more years, we love Trump, Trump is great, singing the national anthem, Star Spangled Banner. It was a huge success to see a Republican show up in Harlem and just be, welcomed and cheered and honored. He ought to go elsewhere in New York City. I think he ought to go to the Chabad Lubavitch in Brooklyn, which is an Orthodox Jewish center, and show his solidarity with the Jews and with Israel. Staten Island is a big Republican stronghold, which he actually won. He ought to do a rally there. I think I ought to go to Long Island and have a sit down and have some kind of a meeting with the families and survivors of victims of MS-13, the illegal alien violent gang, which has killed a lot of people in Long Island, including beheading people, believe it or not. He can hop on his helicopter, fly to take his chopper down to Bucks County, Pennsylvania, or to Philadelphia or the main line, and talk to people there, particularly suburban voters, about things like how to stop squatting, how to reduce crime, how to you go to Philadelphia, talk about school choice. He can hop on his jet, go up to New Hampshire, where they've got 4 electoral votes, not many, but if you're at 266 and you get New Hampshire, that puts you at 270. So just because he's in court all day long doesn't mean that he can't spend his late afternoons and evenings campaigning. And the more he does that, the less he'll look like a prisoner of the New York injustice system, and more like his own man who's able to operate outside of the courtroom and appeal to voters, and that'll look great on television, and especially with Biden, kind of more or less stuck between, essentially for the most part, between the White House and his mansions in Delaware. And that sort of split screen, I think, will be very much to Trump's advantage. So I hope he takes advantage of the afternoons and evenings and uses those to get back on the campaign trail.
I agree with you. I think that if the Democrats have tried to keep Trump off that campaign trail, if they've tried to reset the battlefield, that they might end up regretting the move that they made so dramatically to put Donald Trump in the place that he is right now. We'll see how the Trump campaign is capable of handling it. Deroy, we always appreciate you. Thanks for being with us today.
You bet, Annie. Thanks very much. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Deroy Murdock is a nationally syndicated columnist and a Fox News contributor with us here on the Annie Frey Show. When we come back, we're going to speak with Mehek Cooke. She is a Trump campaign surrogate. She's an attorney. We're going to talk to her about the Trump campaign and that position, a little bit of what we were speaking there with Deroy. We're going to pick it right up with somebody who is going to join us to speak from the Trump campaign. She's also a Fox News commentator. So stick around. Let's talk to Mehek when we come back. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
The Diamond Shop online at thediamondshop.net. .net. Don't forget the .net there. They have a great sale going on through April, and we're waiting on April. Guys, it's almost May. It's almost Christmas. 6 months, same as cash. I'll throw that in there right now if you're looking for something lovely for Christmas. Is that crazy? Well, you could have it 6 months, same as cash, finance it over the course of that amount of time, and save a bundle, especially right now on some of the spring fling savings that they've got at the Diamond Shop. 40% off all color stone jewelry. Beautiful, beautiful stones that you can get from the Diamond Shop to celebrate something this spring, maybe Mother's Day, which is a little bit closer than Christmas. So if you have put that off, there's still time to save in April on that color stone jewelry, 40% off. 30% off all in-stock jewelry. So if that's color stones, not what you're looking for, but you're thinking of something else, in-stock jewelry, 30% off. And when you become a VIP on their website, you're going to get an extra 10% off the top. Become a VIP, learn everything you know about the Diamond Shop at thediamondshop.net.
Hello, my name is Chad Clayman with Clayman Group, where you can find us online at claymangroup.com, KLAMEN group.com. Do you have a house that you'd like to sell as is and not deal with the market? Maybe you have a tenant not paying the rent or a house in disrepair and you want a simple solution for your sale? We've been in business for over 88 years and we've helped thousands of people sell their house in as-is condition with no middleman involved. Reach out today at claymangroup.com, KLAMEN group.com, and receive an offer today.
The Clean Air Partnership is committed to increasing awareness of air quality issues and to encourage area residents and businesses to take steps to help clear the air. Little things make a big difference, like utilizing Energy Save mode on your computer, turning off lights not in use, and replacing inefficient and old appliances. What is your one thing? Learn more at cleanair-stlouis.com.
Mike Carter here of Carter Law Offices. You know, as an attorney, I make my way across the great state of Missouri on a pretty regular basis. And from the rivers to the lakes and the Ozark Mountains, it's really just a pleasure to travel across the great state of Missouri. And, you know, not to mention, we have the best sports team and the best cities and the friendliest small towns in America, it seems like. And Carter Law Offices wants to make sure Missouri's story gets out far and wide about our excellent business climate, our exceptional workforce. You'll hear more from me soon, Mike Carter.
Visit MikeCarter.com to see Mike's interviews with all of Missouri's elected leaders.
Mike Carter here of Carter Law Offices. You know, as an attorney, I make my way across the great state of Missouri on a pretty regular basis. And from the rivers to the lakes and the Ozark Mountains and the richest farmland around, it's really just a pleasure to travel across the great state of Missouri. And, you know, not to mention, we have the best sports team and the best cities and the friendliest small towns in America, it seems like. And Carter Law Offices wants to make sure Missouri's story gets out far and wide about our excellent business climate, our exceptional workforce. You'll hear more from me soon, Mike Carter.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, health care, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Guys, you know summer is just around the corner. Get yourself in shape now. Let my friends at Victory Men's Health help you. Mark Cox here. You know Victory is offering semaglutide, approved by the FDA for overweight adults. It's a game changer. On average, people are losing up to 15% of their body weight. Be sure and visit my friends at Victory Men's Health in Wing Haven, their newest location in Sunset Hills. They're also in Town and Country and in O'Fallon, Illinois. Go online today. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
I can see clearly now thanks to the doctors at Ophthalmology Associates. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and introducing Samuel Berry. You can too. Call 314-966-5000 or check out youridoc.com. That's youridoc.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Get in your comfort zone with double carrier cool cash rebates up to $4,200 and 0% financing for up to 72 months on a new HVAC system. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Sean Spicer with us.
If you want someone to be your priest or your rabbi or your best friend, then go find that person. But if you want someone to lead this country, we have two choices. And the choices couldn't be more of a starker contrast in terms of the direction of this country.
Weekdays from 3 to 6. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
I don't know why we're surprised by Trump. How many times does he have to prove we can't be trusted?
You know, sometimes President Biden just makes the job so freaking simple. There was a time where I was like, gosh, I feel sorry for the old man. I don't want to. Oh, no, I'm playing these things. If you want to vote for this guy, you got to know that he doesn't know up from down. And I think a lot of people are figuring that out pretty rapidly as we approach the election in November. Let's bring on our next guest. I'm excited to have Mehek Cooke on the show with us, a Trump campaign surrogate and attorney, Fox News commentator. You can learn more about her at mehekcooke.com. Mehek, thank you for being with us today. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me on with you.
Of course. Let me ask you the first question, because a lot of people couldn't believe it was going to be Biden and Trump again this November for very different reasons. People don't believe that Joe Biden has the wits about him to continue to do this job. What's the Trump campaign going to do to continue to prove that point, if they even have to step in to do that, as we move towards the election?
You know, I think that Joe Biden and his campaign are just continuing to self-implode, and we don't have to do anything on the Trump campaign except for reach the American people and continue to expose the truth about what's happening in our country, from the immigration crisis to inflation, and really speak to voters directly, not use mainstream media, go to groups like yours to say this is what's happening in our country and expose the lies by Biden. But every time he opens his mouth, like just earlier today where he read a teleprompter and said pause instead of actually knowing what he's supposed to be saying, he's just going to self-implode here, Annie.
Yeah, I didn't hear that one. I'm going to need to now. Mehek Cooke with us right now with the Trump campaign. You're an attorney. I am not. I don't play one on the radio. I try to have experts on, even like yourself, to talk to us about the lawfare that's taking place here. What are your thoughts about the campaign battlefield set by the Biden administration to put Donald Trump in the courtroom as potentially a campaign strategy? Is that what we're seeing here?
It is. And unfortunately, for the Biden camp, this lawfare is backfiring. And you've heard this over and over again, this two-tiered weaponization of the legal system. And you don't have to be an attorney. You don't need a law degree. You just have to see what's happening in our country today. You have the foremost GOP contender, President Trump, running for president, and the Biden camp has done everything to hamstring him. They've gone after his businesses. You saw that by Tish James in New York, trying to not only muzzle Trump through a gag order, trying to stop Trump's family from making money, but then also try and prevent President Trump from earning a living. Now you're seeing what's happening in this new court case in New York, where there is a gag order by a judge that is biased. I mean, he's clearly allowing Michael Cohen, who's a serial perjurer, to continue to go out there and speak about the president. And what is this case about? It's not hush money. It's truly about a business record, and that's a simple misdemeanor. But this is all backfiring because Americans are scratching their head and wondering, why is the president locked up in a New York courtroom where By the way, the temperature is freezing, according to him, and he can't be on the campaign trail where he belongs talking to voters. So he's taken to the streets of New York, and we get to see him and hear from him firsthand.
Mehek Cooke with us right now. She is a Trump campaign surrogate and attorney as well. I think about the message around this very important part of the campaign of what the Biden administration is doing to Donald Trump. But one of the main questions, I think, that the deciding factor of this 2024 election is going to be about what these candidates are going to do for the American people, and in some cases, what they're going to do to the American people. What's the stark contrast between the Biden way and the MAGA way? We heard Joe Biden say today multiple times in his unity speech about how getting this $95 billion package through was a proof that we can come together and do what it takes to get the job done. And in the same breath, trying to insult MAGA Republicans. What's the difference for the American voter, taxpayer, constituent in what Biden has to offer those American people and Donald Trump?
Well, I think what you're seeing today is 40-year highest inflation, and you have to ask yourself, why are we here? It's truly because of Joe Biden's policies that have put America last. He stopped oil and gas drilling on our land. And what does that mean? That means now our gas prices are up. The Keystone Pipeline pause was devastating. Not only thousands of employees lost their jobs, but now we're seeing it at the grassroots level. Whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, when you go pump that gas, you are paying more today than ever before. Let's talk about grocery prices. Let's talk about gas prices. Let's talk about baby food formula. So as you continue to see what's happening in our economy, the facts speak for themselves. Then we look at immigration. 11 million illegal immigrants have come to our country. And not only is that a travesty in and of itself, but look at what's happening. Soft on crime policies. There are so many individuals today, Annie, that have lost their lives at the hands of illegal immigrants. Look at what happened to Laken Riley, our Georgia student. This is the first time I can tell you, as an attorney sitting back, this could have been prevented. These crimes against Americans, the fentanyl overdose that is up the highest it's ever been in history, all of these deaths, it's the #1 killer of Americans today. It could have been prevented. But Joe Biden's in charge, and he has continued to allow not only our economy just run rampant in terms of not being able for an average American to afford what they used to be able to afford, and now we fear for our safety. And all I tell voters today is, were you better off 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And they say yes.
It's a simple question to answer. I think a lot of people have a pretty quick way to answer it. Trump campaign surrogate Mehek Cooke with us right now. You can go to mehekcooke.com to learn more about Mehek. I think about Joe Biden seems to really feel that I always refer to him as Joe Biden's cue cards because I'm pretty sure he's just reading and not even well at that. But Joe Biden's cue cards seem to really feel like that phrase MAGA Republican is a winner for the Biden campaign. The Republican Party has different segments to it. I think the Democrat Party has a huge problem on their hands about the segmentation of what they're dealing with over there. But the Republicans Party, we're the Big Tent Party. We have to come together and understand how to make this work in a big, big way in November. What is a MAGA Republican, and does MAGA Republican want to expand and broaden and bring in other GOPers to the tent?
Look, I consider myself somebody who wants to make America great again. And what the left liberal elites like Biden are doing is making MAGA a negative word. Let me tell you, it's the most positive place you can be today if you want our country to thrive and prosper. And what Republicans can do, all Republicans, is come together, coalesce, and our first mission is to ensure that President Trump gets elected in November. That needs to be the mission. And we need to fight against the lawfare that's happening in the court system. And then the other thing is election interference. Not only is it happening in the court system where Biden has weaponized district attorneys to go after President Trump, but they're going after our elections. Where do you think these illegal immigrants are going to end up on election day? They're getting documentation. They're going to be able to vote in many states because most states aren't asking for proof of citizenship. So we have a lot of issues on our hands. And if the Republican Party thinks that we need to be divided rather than united, that will lead to our destruction. The strongest we can be is for all of us to realize that we have a country to save and that we are on the brink of a national security crisis, World War III, and so many other devastating things that are happening today in our families. Our moral compass has been eroded by these liberals. We need to get back to reality and back to our principles. And that starts with communicating with one another and realizing that President Trump is the way out of this disaster.
Do you feel as though President Trump is ready to not necessarily reach out, but open arms for those people who haven't had the stomach for Donald Trump before? They maybe were middle to left of center, but center nonetheless. They can look at where our country is headed right now. They know Joe Biden is an absolute disaster and that Kamala Harris is waiting in the wings and would be as bad, if not worse. Do you feel as though this president is ready to have the arms wide open to welcome people who maybe wouldn't have considered him for whatever particular reason before to say, come on in, the water's fine?
Well, I've seen President Trump welcome every single one of those GOP contenders in the presidential with open arms. All these contenders had to do was say, I stand with President Trump. I'm going to honor my commitment and I'm going to ensure that he wins that White House. So I think he's had a track record of saying, join me. And the ones that aren't joining, honestly, between you and me and all of your viewers, it is only for their political gain, and shame on them, because the big picture is American democracy and making sure that we do right by the American people. If anybody is turning their back on America today and President Trump, it is just for sheer politics. It is not for the betterment of our country.
Yeah, I think that the segmentation of the political parties leading up to this point has been for a lot of personal gain, but we are getting to the point where we have to figure out how to fortify our country, how to win back our country, and to rebuild our country, and maybe, I guess, make it great again, one might say. Donald Trump will be in New York City for this trial, and he spent some time at, the bodegas in New York City and Harlem, in other places. Will he be able to get to those swing states where this election will be decided enough to win the people over, enough people to get outside of the margin of manipulation to win those important states?
That's a great question. And I think that any minute that President Trump hasn't been in trial because trial hasn't been scheduled or it's been delayed, the president has been in swing states. But look, his record speaks for itself. We're continuing to suffer in many of these swing states. And Joe Biden has lost his base. He's lost Black voters because they're working, just like every other American, harder than ever before. And you know what voters say to me today? They say, I was better off 4 years ago. So he has lost the Black voter base. He has lost the Hispanic base. They call him a liar. Joe Biden has not kept a single promise. So Biden is hemorrhaging voters, and President Trump and the team and Republicans are welcoming them, because this is truly the party that is going to be open arms for opportunity, open arms for the American dream. And every single voter is starting to see that.
Mehek Cooke, thank you for being with us today. We'd love to have you back as this campaign continues on. Every day that passes is a very important day closer to where we actually get to go make that, I guess, election season start, since it's not just a day anymore. So we appreciate your insight. We look forward to welcoming you back on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. She is a Trump campaign surrogate and attorney, Fox News commentator. You can find her online at Mehek Cooke. That's Cook with an E at the end, mehekcooke.com. Excited to have her on and get the Trump campaign perspective on the current situation. We're going to take a quick break. Let's talk about that YouTube live chat poll when we come back. How are protests affecting the Democratic Party? Is it increasing support, decreasing support? Or there's no change, just protests, just things happening in places that are full of Democrats. Could it possibly have no change? We'd love to know what you think about it on the Annie Fry YouTube live chat right now. It's on the live broadcast on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. Let us know what your thoughts are on that poll. We'll read some of your comments as well when we come back. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
The Retirement Advisory Group is online at retirementkey.com. I've had many conversations with Thomas Helbig and learned about how he structures his business around that shift that time where you were ending your working years, going into retirement. You've saved. You know that you've had to put away money for some time. Maybe you didn't get started as early as you can, but you worked your tail off to try to get caught up as much as possible. Don't miss the opportunity to sit down with Thomas Helbig for free and learn about how he can help you enter into a worry-free retirement. You want to make sure that you have the very best help. And when you sit down, you can make the judgment for yourself with the Retirement Advisory Group, Thomas Helbig, Bob Kershaw, Tammy Kershaw. You are going to be able to listen to all of the important tips and tricks you need at that particular moment of your retirement to make that transition. And when you sit down and listen to them, it costs you nothing. You can make a decision for yourself if you want to sign up afterwards. Don't pass up the opportunity to get this scheduled today. Tell them Annie sent you. Go to 314-993-9494. 314-993-9494. retirementkey.com.
Traffic law counselors is where we go when the police hassle us. Go to 45bucks.com.
This is Mike Carter, founder of 45bucks.com, or as you know it, Traffic Law Counselors. And right now, around tax time, we know folks are taking care of issues that they may have been putting off for a while. Maybe a driving while suspended or a warrant, things that you may have been worrying about for a little while. And we specialize in keeping folks' records clean. They come to us on a Monday, they can't drive, and by the end of that week on a Friday, we've got them back in the driver's seat driving legally. And that's very gratifying. And God forbid you're wrestling with something like a DWI. You can go to DWISTL.com. We got 10 paralegals and attorneys that are working on those cases nonstop, and depositions, trials, hearings, and we can put that to work for you as well. In fact, it's the enduring success of Traffic Law Counselors that has enabled us to be the preeminent DWI attorneys in St. Louis at DWISTL.com. So now you know, if you have a traffic matter, it's 45bucks.com. If you've got a DWI issue, it's DWISTL.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Wait a second. Think twice before signing that petition. That innocent petition is not a replacement for Roe versus Wade. We're talking late term and partial birth long after the baby can feel pain. But that's not all. Signing that petition obliterates parental rights. Worse, it strips away malpractice protections for prenatal care, childbirth, miscarriage care, and all other reproductive health care. So if you or your loved one is hurt while accessing reproductive care, you forfeit your rights to sue. So think twice before signing that petition and support our work at Coalition Life. Coalition Life is on a mission. We're dedicated to helping women faced with untimely pregnancies, providing them with compassionate alternatives that empower them with choices that protect and uphold their rights. Visit coalitionlife.com to learn more, because every life deserves a chance. Paid for by Coalition Life.
The Annie Fry YouTube live chat poll today is: how are protests affecting the Democrat Party? Are they increasing support, decreasing support, or no change? Very curious to see what you have to say about this one. Let us know by typing in Annie Fry on YouTube. You'll see not only the poll, but the stream there if you'd like to join us there. 1:43. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
It's what's happening.
Trump's hush money trial.
This is a Biden witch hunt.
Right now.
Anti-Semitism protests at Columbia University.
If you do not leave, you will be arrested.
Keeping you informed.
Aid coming to Ukraine.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. There's so much going on right now, and it kind of all revolves around I feel like it's all tethered to what's going on in the Middle East to in some way, shape, or form. I am I just feel like I don't have the patience for these types of protests right now. And I don't know that I had that in 2020. It just feels different to me to watch what grew out of the George Floyd situation here versus what is being done in our American institutions and in our American streets right now for something that's going on overseas. I mean, here's Ilhan Omar, and I understand that, well, she's a congresswoman. It matters. Listen to what she had to say.
It's been incredibly painful for the last 5 days to see the discovery, while there is a discovery of a mass grave of more than 200 Palestinians in Khan Yunis, that our media, our elected politicians, our president, every single leader is spending their time and energy in talking about the protests as if you all are not here to give voice to the genocide that is taking place in Gaza.
I mean, it's just not the whole story. There are terrible things happening over in the Middle East. These are the same people who would tell us, like, if there were terrible things happening to people they didn't like, to tell us to keep our American tax dollars off of the issue. Ilhan Omar's daughter was arrested at one of these protests. Here's Charlie Hurt on the
Could
issue.
you be more of a privileged person than someone who grows up in America, the daughter of a sitting congressperson? You could not be more privileged. You could not have more access to information. You're going to one of the most prestigious universities in the country. You have access to knowledge, and yet you reject it and make it all about yourself, and it's all performance, and then you wind up supporting a terrorist or openly supporting a terrorist organization against Jews. And of course, the net result is, at a time when, universities seem to care so much about safe spaces, and I think a lot of it is kind of lunacy, but where are the safe spaces that universities care so much about for Jewish students?
It's a great question, because it's certainly not on campus, so much so that they had to go to remote learning. Can you imagine paying the Columbia tuition dollars and being like, you're going to learn from your dorm room, just stay in there, you're safer in there because you're Jewish? What happened when we were facing the possibility that Donald Trump could win the presidency in 2016? And I mean, let's be honest. We didn't think he was going to win. Nobody thought he was going to win. They were the cackling of the people when, was it the New York Times or something? There was a 99% chance that Hillary Clinton, a 99% chance. And then Donald Trump pulls off the win of the century. And I mean, it was not a resounding victory. It's very close. It's not like his 2016 was a mandate so much as it was we are not interested in Hillary Clinton. So much so, we're willing to take a chance on that guy. The same guy that you told us had a P-tape in Russia. The same guy that you told us was going to get us into World War III. Just like that, should we elect Donald Trump, he's going to be wild and crazy. He's not going to be able to keep his mouth shut, and he's going to run it off and pop off to all these world leaders. We're going to be in World War III before you know it. Everything's going to implode upon itself, and we're going to be living in an utter destruction. Fast forward to 2024. Hello? Do you feel safe right now? Do you feel like the American government's firmly got hands at 10 and 2 or 9 and 3, whatever they teach now, and is driving this car down the road to its destination? I don't think that you do either. Now, you might look at the other guy and go, no, I'm not interested in Trump. There's nothing there that is of interest to me. You cannot possibly think, though, that 4 more years of Joe Biden is, even to suggest that it would be healthy for this country, it's going to be a continued disaster for this country. And we're going to have to get the shovel out and dig to get lower, but I'm pretty sure they will find a taxpayer fund to get those shovels and to do the digging. It's a disaster. And if you listen to what Ilhan Omar said there at the beginning, she's talking about criticism of her own Democrat elected officials and leaders and politicians and the president of the United States. This is not good for the Democrat Party in November, which is kind of a curt way to talk about it. Like, what does this mean for the election? There are world implications that far, far, far supersede an election in November because the tensions are so high and the weapons are so hot. However, I do look at what Ilhan Omar is doing and the weight that she has places like Michigan that would dramatically affect the outcome of this election. So the YouTube live chat poll for today is, how are protests affecting the Democratic Party? You have three options: increasing support, decreasing support, or no change. Brad, what do you think?
Man, this one's so tough, but I had to go with decreasing support. I think that these protesters, I don't know how much they're decreasing it, but I think these protesters are harming the Democrat Party because people don't want to be blocked off when they're on their way into work. They don't want to see what looks like entitled, privileged college kids whose tuition the Joe Biden administration is actively trying to pay off with our tax dollars. They don't want to see these kids out, not in class, and protesting. They want to see them in class. They don't want to see classes canceled and people going to Zoom learning because these people are throwing a tantrum. Yeah, I don't think that people really like what they're seeing from that, and that's hurting them.
Katie says decreasing support because everyday people are fed up with the protests causing them difficulty. Ender says no change. If anything, it's tearing the party apart a bit. An anti-Israel message is harmful, but though the Democrat Party won't commit to it, it won't be enough for people to leave. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, unlike Brad, I didn't have trouble with this one at all. Although we came to the same conclusion, I do believe that this is decreasing support. It's just not, even if you're not affected, you're not stopped on a bridge by the protests, or you haven't been directly affected, you see it. I mean, this is something that pretty much everybody in America knows is happening. And when major donors are pulling their money, who aren't even conservatives, from these liberal bastions, institutions that have been indoctrinating people for the left forever, and they're saying, look, this is too far, that's an indication to me that all of what we're watching is kind of a media sensation, that the protesters themselves are doing it to get attention, and that it is backfiring. It is just not going the way they want.
Doug says protests won't change a thing. The key principle they all have is never Trump. They'll argue with each other, but not on that point. Kenton says protests are affecting the Dems. They're starting to see liberals attacking liberals. Crackhead Barney was attacking Alec Baldwin. When I read this, I was like, Crackhead Barney, I don't like name call. That's really what she goes for.
Yeah, she goes.
Kenton is just being accurate. Was attacking Alec Baldwin. Both are liberals. Their agendas are shooting themselves in the foot. I don't know if that was a pun. Anyway, I have a hard time thinking. I definitely don't think it's increasing support for the Democrat. There's nothing here for somebody who doesn't already attach, associate, tether themselves to the Democrat Party. There's nothing attractive about what's going on for somebody who has ever voted, some Democrats, some Republicans. I'll vote both sides. Depends on the issue, depends on the race, blah, blah, blah. If you're that person, you're not looking at this going, oh, well, that seals the deal for me. I'm all in on this protest stuff. If anything, those people who are kind of in the middle of the road voters, I think the thing I don't know, I'm just saying this off the top of my head, but I feel like the thing they would have the most in common is probably an isolationist type of a mentality, where if you're in the middle of the road, I think the thing that pulls you to the right to even be anywhere near the middle is probably fiscal. There are not many people who are like super progressive and lib on fiscal issues, but like super socially conservative. Those people, do those people exist? I don't know them.
And in
I think
fact,
they'd be confused.
Yeah, on 30 Rock, there was a joke that Liz Lemon was dating the guy who plays Mayhem on those TV commercials, and she asked him, well, "What's your position politically?" And he said, "I'm a social conservative, fiscal liberal."
Yeah,
it was funny because nobody.
Yeah, that's funny. That's exactly the point that I'm trying to make. And if you're somebody who has some progressive liberal thoughts and some conservative thoughts, you probably want the Republicans handling the wallet and the Democrats handling the social issues. And I think that there are, unfortunate for me because I'm conservative on both issues, I think that might be the biggest bucket of voters that exists. Conservatives, the Republicans handling the money, and the Democrats handling the social issues. I also don't think that you can do both of those things at the same time. But if you were that person who's kind of middle of the road, trying to support some of what's going on. I mean, maybe sending money to Ukraine and sending money to Israel and sending money to the Indo-Pacific or whatever it was. That's not like high on your list of what you want to have done with your tax dollars, supporting all of these foreign conflicts or picking sides in these foreign conflicts, or in some cases picking both sides in these foreign conflicts, is not something that you really are going to invest in. The only way that I can see it being no change is because of what the commenter said about the Trump factor. The idea that your position on Donald Trump predicates everything that you think and do politically. And I do believe that the steady march of court cases that Donald Trump is facing will cause people to question their never Trump status more than other things. There's no policy that's going to come into play that's going to make people go, well, I've had a major change of heart. People would have to open their minds to finding out the real Donald Trump, not the one that the mainstream media has tried to push in front of your face. And it's before he won the 2016 election. People would have to open their minds to consider that what they have been told this whole time about Donald Trump isn't actually true. Now, I do think it's possible that you could open your mind and consider the fact that what you've been sold and told about Donald Trump is not actually true. You could find out more about Donald Trump that is actually true, and there still will be unsavory things that you don't like. So maybe in the end, you open your mind and you're like, this is still not my guy. But there's no way that you couldn't do the exact same thing for Joe Biden or any other politician that rises to the level of a presidential candidacy. There are going to be unsavory things about every single broken, sinful individual who tries to find themselves in a position to become the president of the United States. You have been lied to so consistently, passionately lied to about Donald Trump. And I challenge you, there are so many of you know what it's like to be on the receiving end of unfair treatment, even professionally, where people have lied and tried to deceive about you. You know what it's like. It's not as big of a scale as the TDS scale, but you know what it's like. It kind of changes your attitude about things. It puts a chip on your shoulder, and Donald Trump has the biggest one there is. Broad shoulders, too, I might add. Come vote on the YouTube live chat poll. We're going to talk about death when we come back. Don't go away.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
You know, most people never get to sit down with elected officials and ask them about the important issues. I'm Judge Mike Carter, and that's exactly why I host the news talk program Justice and Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter. My goal is to bring those who represent us closer to the people they serve. I ask the questions you would in a no-nonsense manner. That's why we've been able to interview so many top local, state, and federal officials, because as a judge, I offer an unbiased, one-on-one conversation that's hard to find elsewhere these days. Besides serving as judge, I have a journalism degree, which is how the name of the show, Justice and Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter, evolved. You never know who we'll interview next, from Governor Parson to prosecutors, sports figures to Missouri business leaders. Justice and Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter, airs on Fox and ABC. You can also watch our past shows at MikeCarter.com, where we ask the questions and let you be the judge.
If you'd like to see more of Judge Mike Carter's interviews on his program, Justice and Journalism, visit MikeCarter.com. That's MikeCarter.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Student walkouts getting pushback. Lisa Brady, Fox News. At the University of Texas in Austin, hundreds of students are showing support for Palestinians by walking out of class in what the school calls an unauthorized protest, warning organizers it won't allow the campus to be taken. This as protests that began last week in New York City have spread to more than 25 top universities around the country, now also including the University of Southern California campus in L.A.
We are told that there are students mixed with some, quote, outsiders, and we do not know exactly what the administration has done in terms of their marching orders for both campus police as well as LAPD, whether they're going to clear them out, which is what's happening in Texas, or whether or not they will be allowed to stay to put up their tents and so forth, as I've been told by our photographer who was on the scene that they brought tents as well.
Fox's William Lajeunesse. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu posting a video on the protests.
Anti-Semitic mobs have taken over leading universities. They call for the annihilation of Israel. They attack Jewish students. They attack Jewish faculty. This is reminiscent of what happened in German universities in the 1930s.
He says it's unconscionable and has to be stopped, calling anti-Semitism the canary in the coal mine that always precedes larger conflagrations. Earlier today, President Biden signing a $95 billion package that includes more aid for Israel and Ukraine and Taiwan.
When our allies are stronger, and I want to make this point again and again, when our allies are stronger, we are stronger.
Also reiterating support for bipartisan border security measures that didn't make it into the final bill after months of debate. An update just in on a fiery plane crash yesterday outside Fairbanks, Alaska. A federal aviation official says one of the two pilots reported a fire shortly before the crash, which killed both of them. The plane was carrying more than 3,000 gallons of heating oil for a small village. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
What a pretty looking sky around town. Partly to mostly sunny skies, dry air. 68 for the high this afternoon. Tonight, clear skies. Let's drop it out of the 60s once the sun goes down. Chilly again overnight, 45. Thursday, partly sunny, 75. Just a slight chance of an afternoon shower on Thursday. Developing showers and thunderstorms late Thursday night and throughout the day on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I want you to know about STS Armory's training that they offer. Pontoon Beach, Illinois. Buy your firearms, ammunition, safes, everything, accessories at this location, STS Armory. Online at sts-armory.com. But they do more than just provide you the commerce that you need to make the purchases that you want. They have the training that you have been craving. If you are just starting your path to being somebody who owns and operates a firearm in the state of Illinois, you got to have a FOID card. If you want to carry it, you have to have a concealed and carry license. A lot of laws, a lot of regulations. We could get into the politics behind that at another time. But these are the things you have to do to be compliant. They will help you from square one. Make sure that you have everything that you need. I have had people who go into STS Armory, personal family members of mine, to get FOID issues straightened out or conceal and carry licensing issues straightened out, and to make sure that you have the training that you need, the hours that you need, so that you can continue to maintain that conceal and carry license. They do instructor level classes, advanced classes. They do kids and teens firearms safety and education courses, incredibly important. And they also do ladies only classes. So if you're looking for something cool for Mother's Day, a little bit different, parent? How about the ability to get that conceal and carry license for mom? You think that sounds like a silly idea, but I bet you she'll love it. You can call them at 618-931-GUNS to ask questions, sts-armory.com.
This time of year again, where we all should be, not every, we should all be calling our companies and making sure our air conditioners are in running order, and do the best you can to make sure that they don't break down this summer. It's only $89 if you call us to have us do it. But let's just say that you've had that done and a company says you need a new system. Sucks, but without a question, you get another opinion. Get another price. I can promise you, without a question, if you call me for a second opinion based on what my customers say for the second opinion, you'll be happy you did. Call me. It's Bart Inman. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. 314-293-2600. Missouri and Illinois. Or on the internet, bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
You've listened to 97.1 FM Talk. You've heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial and Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple as the financial expert on the station for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend right here on 97.1 FM Talk. And you can talk to Doug Voss directly. Here's his number. Call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Download the free Upside app and earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Download the free Upside app now and use promo code GIFT for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's promo code GIFT.
The Patriot Training Foundation trains law enforcement and military at the region's top facility free of charge. Kim Sainanj here. We're raising awareness for the Patriot Training Foundation's mission to serve those who serve our nation. Visit 971talk.com/care to learn more.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture. Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Appreciate you being with us here this afternoon. I was not here yesterday, obviously. Had one of those kid called home. Today's Wednesday, so that would have been Monday. My 7-year-old left school with a minor fever, and you got to be at home. You got to be fever free for 24 hours. By the time we got to her yesterday, Monday, she was fever free. So we took the day off yesterday, and I sat at home with her. So I appreciate the opportunity to do that. It's an important thing to be able to do for my kiddos. So, I missed yesterday. What you guys talk about the most yesterday? I know it's Ryan Recker yesterday, so it's a little bit of a different show than what we would normally do.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about some goofy stuff just because that's fun to do. I think we did talk probably most about the protests, which is similar to today, but also the Trump trial a little bit.
A little bit of that. We talked about like sentencing guidelines and are we as a society too much paying attention to the sympathies of the people committing the crimes and not treating the victims as victims.
That's for sure. Well, I wanted to, I looked at the poll that you guys did yesterday, and I thought that was an interesting one. And I was interested to find out that that the audience kind of divided over the 4 options about support for the aid package that was passed. The President of the United States spoke about that. He officially signed it earlier today, and we talked about that a little bit earlier in the show. We also spoke with Deroy Murdock, who really keyed in on these protests that are taking place across the country and the ridiculousness of what some of these protests include some of the phrases that are chanted. It's just outrageous. Our YouTube live chat poll for today is, how are protests affecting the Democratic Party? Increasing support, decreasing support, or no change? You go to the Anti-Fry YouTube channel. And in our live broadcast today, you can vote and tell us what you think. We'll read some of those comments to wrap up this hour. I asked you guys this off air, but we're going to talk about death. I teased that. It's kind of weird to tease that.
Yeah, coming up.
And next, death. I have never been around anybody at their passing before. Have you?
Not in the room, but I've been very, very close.
Was it somebody close to you?
One time it was. Another time it was just an accident with a complete stranger. He was in the road, and he did not pass at that moment, but he never regained consciousness. So you never really know like what that means. But the last conscious moment of his life, I was there for. But my father-in-law, I was not in the room, but I was in the room next door in the waiting room when that happened, and my wife and the family was in the room.
Yeah. Brad, what about you?
Yeah, I wasn't in the room when my grandfather passed away, but I was in the next room over. I was at his house. He was on hospice. He had lung cancer, and I think I was in 8th grade when that happened. I happened to be sick that day, and my mom took me over to her dad's house while he was on hospice because they knew he didn't have much time.
It's so strange how it is the thing that is guaranteed in life. We don't really talk about it very much. Everyone kind of has a person, everybody has experience with losing loved ones, and some of those are very distant experiences, like, yeah, I remember grandpa died when I remember something about it. I remember mom being sad when I was 4 or 5, but maybe you haven't lost somebody who's that close to you yet. Other people have been there and present and experienced it from a very upfront position. And then I always think about the people who do this for a living. What we do for a living, listen, I value you as a listener more than you will ever possibly know how much I appreciate you. But this is pretty worthless. This is entertainment, this is information, infotainment, whatever. I say this because I have heard this over the course of my time working in radio. Like, when people make mistakes here, nobody dies.
Yeah, you've said that before.
Don't do it again if you make a mistake.
Right.
Like, learn from that and do better next time. And I apply that to myself before I would even say that to anyone else. But, like, the worst day that we can have, nobody dies. And there are people who go to work to help people die. That's... I don't my human brain is incapable of comprehending that. There was a Daily Mail article that kind of brought this to my attention. And it says, what really happens on your deathbed, hospice nurse lifts the lid on 6 unimaginable phenomena that occur when a person is just days away from dying.
Ooh, interesting.
And I found this to be very interesting, but it's also a very sensitive topic. So I wanted to talk to Brad and Ryan about it ahead of time. So if I know people who have been in the room when this happens, and I have experienced some of the things that I'm going to list here. And I didn't want to spring that on you guys if this was something that would be emotionally, not to use their phrase, but triggering. This is the kind of thing that is at the epicenter, like adjacent to your soul, kind of an experience. But the article talks about Julie McFadden. She's 41, registered nurse based in Los Angeles, and she specializes in hospice care. She goes through and lists the things that tend to happen and the experience. And I just wonder how many people listening have experienced these as well. And of course, I've explained myself as a Christian, so I'm going to, isn't that the Rorschach test where it's like, oh, I'm a Christian, I can explain all of these things from the way that I see it. And I mean, honestly, I'm just going to tell you right now, I can explain it. Because I mean, I feel very convicted about that. But if you weren't a Christian, you would have a completely different perspective and take on it because your worldview is different. But I don't feel like my worldview is in conflict with any of the things that this person is talking about. Now, I'm also going to add before we get into the conversation, just because I think in full disclosure and context, this helps to understand the conversation. The end of this Daily Mail article says later this year, Julie is set to release a book titled Nothing to Fear, billed as a comforting and informative guide that demystifies our end-of-life journey. I don't think it's bad to write books. I don't think it's bad to be very successful in selling books. I do think that while we're talking about this article in the Daily Mail, the fact that she has a book coming out is part of the story, but I don't think it negates, inflates, or deflates what she's talking about here. So she lists 6 things that she experiences or has experienced. And I'll just read from the article here a little bit. The health expert and author who previously lifted the lid on scary things that happen when you take your last breath took to YouTube once again to speak out about the phenomena surrounding death, as she confessed that prior to having witnessed these wild things herself, she was uncomfortable sharing them. At the beginning of the clip, she explains that she never saw any of these 6 things while working as an ICU nurse and only began seeing them when she transitioned into hospice care. This is kind of why when I asked you guys this, like, have you ever been present? Because there is a difference between you come across a car accident, you experience something traumatic, or maybe you're in a hospital, but like the idea of somebody being at home and you shift to hospice. People know what that means when you shift to hospice. People who do come off of hospice care, not very often. But there is a preparation that is involved, and that hospice care is a part of that preparation. She began by explaining the first wild thing that happened at the end of life was terminal lucidity. She described this as a burst of energy that a patient who was nearing death got, adding it happened very often. The nurse admitted that it was unclear why those who were about to die got that energy, adding that you should just enjoy the short time with your loved one. She continued, just enjoy it and expect that maybe they will die soon after, because that's the kicker with terminal lucidity. It looks like someone's going to die very soon, and suddenly they have this burst of energy. She has spoken out again about the phenomena regarding death, as she confessed that prior to having witnessed these wild things herself, she was uncomfortable sharing them. So this terminal lucidity is like the surge of energy that they might get, where maybe you feel like hospice, you're going through this experience, and then all of a sudden there's like a pretty dramatic change in presentation.
Yeah. Well, it's not just presentation. I had a friend whose grandfather had this very thing, and he said that he was up, like they knew he was going to pass away, but then like he was up and he was walking around and he was talking to people, and they said it was like he was never sick to begin with.
He's experienced this very thing.
Yeah, and then right after that, he passed away.
The second thing that you might see happen to your loved one, according to this Daily Mail article, who is on the brink of death, is visioning. This nurse, hospice nurse, Julie McFadden, described as having hallucinations, adding that this phenomenon was talked about the most. She noted that patients often saw people who had passed weeks before their death. I wouldn't have believed it unless I saw it for myself over and over again. Julie advised that you, quote, just go with it if you did see your loved one having a hallucination, before revealing that if someone was visioning, then they were a month away from death. The idea that you would see things, I've heard of people, somebody that I was related to had cancer and would see things. And it, in a completely secular biological way, you've got neurons firing in your brain and you're hallucinating. Maybe it's something more than that. But the idea that you would see things, I think that's something that you can understand. That I think a lot of us have heard people have that experience, and then if you're a hospice nurse, you're going to be exposed to it even more. The Daily Mail article writes, number 3, this is really crazy. People choosing when they're going to die.
Yeah.
I've seen some extreme cases of this. People just saying, tonight's when I'm going to die. I know it. I can feel it. And then they do. There's also a time when people will wait for everybody to get in town or get into the room to arrive at the house, whatever it is, and then they will die. Have you ever experienced that?
I didn't experience this personally, but I was talking to my personal physician one time, and he said, like, he knows people that were terminal with whatever disease it was. I forget how we got on that. We used to have some deep conversations when I'd go visit my doctor. But he said people would be on there. He said, but if they had a wedding or a grandchild that was on the way or something like that, these people would hang on. He said they would make the wedding, make the event, whatever it is, and then right soon after they would just pass away.
It's amazing that is something, like in my mind, because this is the analytical mind that I have, I'm like trying to think of like, how do you control it? What do you have to key into? What do you have to manipulate so that you can push through and push further down the road, and then just get to the point where you're like, okay, now it's time. And to be that precise to say tonight, and then to have that happen.
Yeah, when I mentioned my father-in-law, that's exactly what happened with him. He got sick at the beginning of December of 2011. We drove there. We spent pretty much that whole month in Wichita, which is where they were. And then Christmas Eve, like I said, when he passed away, I was in the room next door, but the entire immediate family was with him. And it was one of the only times they had all been in the room. It was Christmas Eve. It was like he decided at that moment,
it was time.
That's it.
I've got the last three things, and I want to take a break, and we'll continue this conversation on the other side. And let us know if you want to, if you've experienced any of these things in your lifetime. I've heard of people in that I'm connected to. I've never experienced it myself. I've never been in the room for that. But relating a lot to what the 6 things listed by this hospice nurse, Julie, that she's explaining. The article's on Daily Mail. I'll tweet it out too after we're done talking about it at Annie Fry Show. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
RulerFoods.com. Your grocery bill has grown, and Ruler Foods is there to push back on that quite a bit. If you go to RulerFoods.com, you will see the ad each week, whatever it is that they have on sale for extra savings. When you visit RulerFoods.com, you're going to be able to shop that ad and see why you might want to make an extra trip to Ruler Foods. But you're also going to be able to find the one closest to you if you haven't gone there yet. I implore you to check out Ruler Foods for yourself. The clean organization, the ease of shopping there, the name brands that you count on, but also the Kroger brands that they carry at Ruler Foods prices. It's a no-brainer when you're looking to save money wherever you can, and I always am looking to save money wherever I can. Ruler Foods is there to help you with the job. Each time you get a shopping cart, fill it up, and you go to the checkout and you think, man, I'm glad I bought these here. Right now, you can save on a pint of blueberries or 6 ounces of blackberries, $1.49 each. Kroger 80% lean ground beef sold in a 3-pound roll, $2.99 a pound. You can also save on a 5-count Kroger boneless pork chops or thin sliced chicken breast, 1 1/4 pounds, $5 each. RulerFoods.com.
Baseball is back, basketball is heating up, and the NFL Draft is right around the corner. Listen to the latest on the teams you love with the free Odyssey app. The biggest sports radio stations in the country, providing unrivaled local coverage of their teams, all in one place. Exclusive interviews with players, coaches, and team executives, streaming live and always available on demand. Stay in the know with your favorite teams with Odyssey. AUDACY. Download the free Odyssey app today.
If you need a new garage door, this could be your lucky day. Entries are now open for the $5,000 sweepstakes at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. The winner will be chosen at random to receive $5,000 towards new garage doors, openers, or front entry doors of their choice. Deadline to enter is the end of the month to win the $5,000 sweepstakes with Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Enter now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com. You can't win if you don't enter at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
What's wrong with Rick? He's kind of spacey. That's Rick's identical twin, Scott. He's not used to answering to Rick. What's going on? Rick asked me to keep it secret, but he asked his twin to cover his shift so he could go to Diamonds Direct to shop. But this is a jewelry store. Exactly. But the prices and selection are so much better at Diamonds Direct. Rick doesn't want the boss to get suspicious, so Scott's here in case the boss sees Rick at Diamonds Direct. But that would mean that the boss is at Diamonds Direct too. Yeah, we have a lot of secrets.
You never know who you'll run into at Diamonds Direct. With unbeatable direct importer prices, the highest quality diamonds, the most sought-after designer rings, the best customer service, the strongest guarantees in the industry, it's just a no-brainer.
You think if Scott had a mustache, he'd look like me?
Go where everyone goes. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion. Learn more at diamondsdirect.com.
I know we're all busy. We're working, we're running errands, trying to take care of the kids. It's really easy to put things off. One thing you do not want to put off, though, your annual eye exam. The doctors at Ophthalmology Associates not only gave me the most thorough eye exam I've ever had, but they're also experts in the diagnosis and treatment of all diseases of the eye. Everything from dry eye to macular degeneration and cataracts. Think about this. Your eye health is the window into your overall body health. Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranja Malhotra, Robert Brusati, Andy Royer, and Samuel Berry, they can look at your eyes and even tell in some cases if you have early stage diabetes, heart disease, lung problems, even some forms of cancer. They're called the doctor's doctors because they've treated more than 250 doctors. The best part about this is that most insurance plans cover the cost of your annual eye exam. Set up your appointment today, 314-966-5000. Again, 314-966-5000, or go to youridoc.com.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. If you're not sure who to call for air conditioning services, contact the team at Air Comfort Service. With 55 years of experience and thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust them with the comfort of your home. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
If you use a smart speaker, you can listen to 97.1 easier than ever. Just tell it to play 97.1 FM Talk. Or download the Odyssey app for your phone and stream the station whenever, wherever. This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
That's what I said now. Princess who adore you. Just go ahead now. One has diamonds in his pockets. And that's some bread now. This one.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. It's kind of a heavy topic that we're in right now. And if you missed the beginning of this conversation, we're carrying this over from the last segment, because I came across this article in the Daily Mail, and it's about a hospice nurse named Julie McFadden. And she talks about the phenomena, the recurring phenomena that happen when somebody passes away. And a hospice nurse would have, what is it about people who are able to do this type of stuff? Like the whole death industry, how could I possibly pretend as much as I do that it doesn't exist?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be built completely differently to be able to do that, primarily emotionally, because you have to be engaged enough to be a part of what's going on, but you're doing that every day. I don't know how I would do that. I would be exhausted.
Well, I just don't think you were that person.
No.
And I know 100% that I am not that person. I have a strength about me in times of crisis. I am an orderly, business-oriented. I mean, I can get laser-focused in a time of crisis and help get through the crisis myself, the people around me. I am very good at that. And it is, the effect of when you just narrowly avoid a really bad accident and you get through it, and then all of a sudden your body goes, what the heck was that? And then you feel the adrenaline rush through your body and kind of release. That for me is a very impactful thing after the fact. When I was in 7th grade, my whole family was in a rollover car accident going down the highway. We were going 65 miles an hour and we rolled the van 8 times into the highway at a high speed. Missed everything in the way. Ended up upside down, hanging from the minivan that we were in. And my whole family crawled out of it. And I have a scar on my head where I had staples to put together like maybe an inch long laceration from my head's impact into the hanger holder that the screw was popped out. My hair was wrapped around it, which is how my parents found out that's where that cut came from. But I got out of the car and I just started picking stuff up. Everybody was accounted for And I was like, well, I guess we got to clean this mess up. I mean, it's not really a normal thing. It's like I have that in me, but only in a great time of crisis. And then the post-traumatic stress from something like that is very real. That happened to me when I was in 7th grade, and I still have elements of that are with me. I cannot imagine what people who fight in combat, police officers as well, EMTs as well. I just don't. The car accident wasn't the life I chose. That's
right.
It's something you get thrust into, and then you do what you got to do. But for people who
you just kick into it. People ask all the time. Sure, you get this question a lot, Annie. Well, how do you talk for 3 hours a day? What do you do?
Yeah.
Well, you just kind of kick into it. It's just kind of part of your nature. Some of it's trained, but a lot of it is just who you are. I'm sure it's the same for most professions. This one too. You just kind of have that thing in you that you're built to do that.
But oh man, the stakes are so much higher.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We discussed the first 3 things that happen when people pass. And we're going to go here now to the 4th. If you missed the first 3, we'll put this all together on the Andy Fry Show podcast. You can go check it out there. Watch it on the Andy Fry YouTube channel later if you so choose. The 4th thing is known as the death reach, according to Julie, this hospice nurse in this Daily Mail article. She explained it's when the person's lying in bed and they reach up in the air like they're seeing someone, or they're reaching for someone, either to hug them or to shake their hands. A lot of times they'll hold their hands up for a long time. Have you ever heard of anyone explaining that? I have.
No, I haven't.
No.
It's like they're seeing something and we're not seeing, and they're reaching for someone that we can't see. I think that's a pretty amazing, okay, I get it. I have a worldview. I have a Christian perspective on this. That there's an easily A to B for me on that. But I do know people who have done that with what is listed as the 5th thing. Julie then listed number 5 is the death stare, explaining that the death stare and the death reach often go together. It usually looks like someone is staring off into the corner of the room or the side of the room, basically looking at something intently. But if you're snapping your finger in front of their face or trying to say their name to kind of snap them out of it, they won't. This intent look, my loved one that somebody very close to me was there when this happened, just explained it like the situation was going on. I think this one particularly was in the hospital, but just wide open look where where they were, especially if you're in hospice. I mean, you're effectively likely sleeping most of the time due to a lot of the medication to take the pain away at the moment. But this just look of complete and total lucidity and purpose and intent in what you're looking at, along with that reach, is. I'm happy that I have a faith that explains that to me. Maybe that's naive for a lot of people. Think that that's a naive thought, which is fine. You can think that. Have you ever heard of that look or that stare?
Yeah, definitely. And now that we link the stare with the reach, I get what she's saying too. I don't know that I've ever seen that myself or experienced somebody who's seen it, but I know exactly what they're talking about.
I've not.
The last wild thing the nurse has seen is known as a shared death experience and is the most impactful, according to this nurse, Jory. She explained a shared death experience is when someone who is not dying feels or sees or understands what's happening to the person who is dying. It's kind of like the dying person gives you the sensation of what they're going through. There may have been some times where that's not a good thing, but from my experience and all the stories I've heard, it's usually a good feeling. It's like the person was giving me these feelings of freedom and joy and kind of telling me that they were okay. And basically, they couldn't believe how amazing it was again. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's interesting because I didn't know the article that you were bringing up was from a hospice nurse. I actually used to go to church or a church group with a hospice nurse. And I asked her a lot of these questions, hey, what do you experience? It's probably one of those questions that she either gets all the time or nobody's ever going to ask. So I'm like, I don't know which side of the fence I'm on here, but I really wanted to know what you experience on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually mentioned a lot of these same things. She may have not said the same words, but it was pretty similar. But the one that I remember that she talked about that really stood out to me was she said that she would walk into a room, and a lot of times, people are coming and going. You get to know some people because they're there for a couple weeks. Others, they're there for a day and a half. You just don't know. You walk into a room, it's a new person. She said there were times, and it's not 100% of the time, but she could feel before ever even talking to the person, whether the person was at peace or whether the person was not at peace. And she said 100% of the time after I had the feeling, I would then talk to the person if they were able to talk. And then it would 100% correspond with the feeling that I had when I walked in the room.
Mm.
And I thought that was really, it was one of the ways that she kind of coped with the job, because she could walk into a room and know kind of how she was going to be able to talk to somebody, if she was going to talk to them at all. And I don't know if that was just something that she had developed or if it was a gift that she had that other people don't or what, but it always stuck with me that that's how she kind of went through her daily job, was just feeling and trying to minister to people in that moment based on the way they felt.
Yeah. I remember, because I was in the other room when my grandfather passed away, I remember the feeling I got, and I didn't realize that it was happening at the same time that he passed, but that sort of calm and that peace. And it's like, oh, well, it's done now. And I remember talking to my mom, because they didn't come in for quite some time to talk to me before it happened. And they came in, whenever they came in, they told me, it was like, I was like, man, I thought that happened like 10 minutes ago. And she goes, it was. So, yeah, I've kind of experienced it. I don't know that I felt it as intensely as what that article's describing.
You would have been like 14, 13?
Yeah, 12, 14, something like that. And I just kind of knew that's when it had happened.
Yeah, I don't like this. There are several things in life where, like, the only thing worse than being there is not being there. And, I think about people, to think about the life you get to live. If you've reached old age and you're in a bed surrounded by your family, and it's a sad thing to let it go, but again, I don't know how I can go day to day without acknowledging the thing that is guaranteed for all of us to experience as much as I do. But I feel like that bedside moment is something to think about when we're focusing on all of the other things that throughout the course of the day or the minutes or the years or whatever are stressing us out and taking up all of our time. Like, what matters in that bedside moment? It will matter that you fought for what you think is good for the country, or tried to advocate for things that would better the world or the country or your town or whatever it is for generations to come. I mean, that stuff does matter. You can't just be like, wow, I won't care about this when I'm on my deathbed. But if you're not prioritizing the things that you would be feeling grateful for in that moment, then you just need to make sure that, like, the advocacy, the passion, the anger, the happiness that you feel in all of these daily moments that you have right now that feel very meaningless, that our emotions and our passions are being funneled into things that matter for the right reasons. And that at the end of the day, like, they're all pointing back to those deathbed priorities that you'll have. Like, who do you have? Where are you going? What did you give? What did you take? And, ultimately, what was the purpose? And I think that because we don't like to talk about death, I don't like to talk about death. I question whether or not I wasn't going to talk about it, but I I'm going to be honest. The Daily Mail is a hard website to read. There's a bazillion ads.
Yeah.
I was like trying to like fight them off as I was going through. I was like, I have to read this whole article. And I'm like, if I can't put this article down, I should talk about it. I shouldn't just keep it for myself. It should be something, it would be something I feel would be compelling for you to listen to. And there's a lot of feedback coming in the chat and the comments. And I actually said out loud on the break, I'm like, I can't read all these comments because they were making me get choked up to hear about some of these experiences that you've had with your loved ones. But in putting off talking about death, you can put off talking about those priorities that will never be more clear to you than in those last moments, if you're in a position to understand that you're in your last moments or days or whatever. Like, that's when your priorities are clear, but you can't do anything about it. That's when it's done. But if you're in a position right now to permit yourself to do the uncomfortable thing and think about that moment a little bit, make sure that boomerangs back to right now. And if you're not talking to somebody in your life that you will regret not talking to them in that deathbed moment, you actually have the ability this afternoon to talk to that person. That's like life-changing stuff. If you were in that deathbed moment and you gave up on going to church and you're laying there and you're thinking, I wish I would have been in church, then you can, or place of worship, whatever it might be for you. Like, now is the time where you can actually just show up and be in that place, something that's bigger than you. You can't do that if you're bedridden and on morphine and you're, according to this article, waiting for everybody to be bedside so that you can pass. I mean, there are things that you have the power to do today that you will not have the power to do then. So maybe in that regard, like I was saying, the uncomfortable thing of opening your mind to think about that moment can actually result in a dramatic net positive for the decisions you make today in those seemingly meaningless moments of your life where you're just trying to get through the grind. And I say that as somebody who is just constantly in the middle of the grind. I retweeted that article. So if you want to read it for yourself or share it with somebody, you can go pull it off my Twitter at Annie Fry Show. And like I said at the very beginning, this woman has a book coming out. So if it interests you, maybe you want to get her book. But that's, I think, one of the reasons why it was featured in that Daily Mail article. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back in a minute.
This one got a princely racket. That's what I said now. Got some mixy love.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
How about that now? You marry me, your father will disown you. And it is hat now. Marry him or marry me. I'm the one that left it better, can't you see? I ain't got no bridge or family tree, but I know what a prince and lover ought to be. I know what a prince and lover ought to be. Said if you...
Air Comfort Service, 314-513-0091. The spring has set in. It's cool, it's hot, it's cool, it's hot. But what you know is that the pollen is flying all over the place. And I know so many people who are dealing with these gross spring colds that have set in. Make sure that the air quality in your home is comfortable, that it is breathable, that it's not causing part of the problem that we all experience a little bit to varying degrees as spring sets in. Air Comfort Service can help you with a whole home air purifier. 314-513-0091 to get an estimate on how they can, it's a free estimate, on help you relieve or eliminate allergy symptoms inside your home, pet dander, bacteria, viruses, stinky odors, and more. They can help you with all of that. That whole home air purifier can make a dramatic difference in the quality of the air in your home, and they're just a phone call away. 314-513-0091. Online right now at aircomfortservice.com.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility in this election year? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 38 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
Learn to retire in 5 years or less through real estate investing. Learn how, learn now. Let Lifestyles Unlimited show you how. Live in St. Louis, 2 days only. Hilton Frontenac, April 27th and 28th. Go to GiveMeTotalFreedom.com. That's GiveMeTotalFreedom.com.
Mom deserves the best this Mother's Day. Let Grill Master Tony do the cooking. Mark Cox here. Get his sliced brisket in au jus sauce, his roasted sesame and garlic baby potatoes, the sautéed green beans, the smoked Gouda, mac and cheese, and even French bread from the hill. Orders are due by May 8th for Mother's Day. He does corporate lunches as well with hot dogs, hamburgers, chips, or his delicious brisket. Order online today. It's grillmastertony.com.
It's the YouTube live chat poll of the day. How are protests that you're seeing all over the news affecting the Democrat Party? Increasing support, decreasing support, or no change? We'll give you the results of that poll in a couple minutes here as we close out the Annie Fry Show and give it over to Mark Reardon. It is 2:46. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. How badly did Speaker Mike Johnson screw up this whole Ukraine funding bill situation? We're going to talk about it. I'm not calling for a new speaker yet, but it is a mess. Emily Jashinsky from The Federalist is going to join us at 3:25. We get rolling right after Fox News.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Fry Show.
You want to lighten the mood a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it.
10 quirky habits that indicate an unusually high level of intelligence.
Now, do you think that this is going to lighten the mood because we're all going to laugh, or?
I think some of us are going to laugh.
Yeah, because I'm not looking forward to this. from the
I wanted to know if you have an unusually high level of intelligence. You're really the only one who could tell us.
Okay, well then I guess proceed.
Or we could, if you want to expand this beyond you, we could figure out who these apply to.
No, we could just do me.
Just you?
Just you. Yeah, that's fine.
Being a night owl?
No.
Do you stay up late and struggle with early mornings? You're not alone. Many smart people are night owls. Science even backs this up. Research shows that night owls often have higher IQs than early birds. So if you're reading this at 2 a.m., take it as a compliment. You might just be a genius.
Well, that's nice to know, but I'm not an early bird either, so I just sleep a ton.
You're a bear.
Put me in the category.
Yeah. Hibernates.
Would you call yourself a night owl, Brad?
Yeah, I would.
Are you a morning person?
No, I've never been a morning person.
Like a true non-morning person?
No,
would
I
answer that
hate
question.
mornings. Like, I'm a morning person now because I have to be.
Have you adapted fine? No.
I've done a great job. So, I do stay up late sometimes just to prove this.
Define late. 9:30.
Yeah, like 11. Maybe. Like,
how hard is it for you to stay past midnight?
it's pretty hard. I don't stay up past midnight almost ever. Although I am going to a concert tonight. I agreed months ago to go to a concert tonight. And I'm like, what was I thinking? It was so far ahead at the time, and I'm like, yeah, sure.
I know exactly that feeling. Yeah.
Like, oh gosh, I'm gonna be so tired tomorrow.
Who did I think I was gonna be?
Yeah, did I think I would be a different
24th.
person?
What concert?
Veruca Salt. I can't even tell you what venue it's at. It's at some little tiny little place. I'm looking forward to the show, but they don't start playing music till like 9:30 or 10.
Number 2, quirky habits that reveal an unusually high level of intelligence. Talking to yourself.
I was thinking about this the other day,
Out loud?
but not saying anything out loud. And I thought, you know what, Ryan, we disagree with this.
But internally.
We don't talk out loud much.
Do you find yourself mumbling your thoughts out loud? Some might think it's strange, but it could be a sign of high intelligence. Talking to yourself can help clarify your thoughts, remember important things, and solve problems. It's like having a personal brainstorming session.
I'm 0 for 2 on this.
I'm definitely a night owl. Everybody knows that. Do you talk to yourself?
A little bit. Yeah, I do, but not. I wouldn't have full conversations with myself, but I'll talk to myself as
Why,
I'm
you get
doing
bored?
something. Yeah, I'm not very interesting to talk to. No, I just little.
That's why he shares an office with Leah. He can just say, "Oh, I was talking to Leah."
Yeah, totally talking to Leah, but
Leah's got headphones on.
Yeah.
Listening to Taylor Swift. I don't know that I talk to myself. Have you ever heard me talk to myself?
a little bit, but it's like what I do. It's just that quiet under your breath kind of thing, and it's not like a sentence. It's like, oh no, don't do that, or
Yeah.
all right, here, and then we'll do that.
I've heard you do that.
You have?
I have heard you do that, and the interesting thing about it is it's usually just enough of a sentence fragment and just loud enough that I never know if you're talking to me or not, and usually you're not. You're talking to your phone or something.
Number 3, being messy.
I'm a genius.
Are you messy?
I'm organized messy. I think Brad said this the other day.
Organized messy.
Yeah,
I like
organized
this.
messy.
Yeah.
Like I have piles of papers all over my desk.
You're messy, but you understand it.
But I
Yes.
know exactly where everything is too.
Yeah, I'm not. I wish I were a cleaner person.
No, I am cluttered. I mean, you could look at my desk right now, and it's like, yeah, it's cluttered.
Here's
It's
the
not
secret.
organized.
My desk is often cluttered with papers, coffee mugs, and other random stuff. Fortunately for me, psychologists suggest this could be a sign of intelligence.
Yeah, let's just go with that.
So we want to go back to your wife and the kitchen sink.
No, that's completely different. That's
she-
just gross.
Did she hear? Okay.
No, she did not hear
I'll
that,
have to
nor
send her
will
the video. Number 4, being a daydreamer. Do you often find your mind wandering off to distant places while in the middle of something?
she. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not your mind. It's your mouth, Ryan.
Say this again. I wasn't paying attention.
I was thinking of something.
I'm a daydream believer.
I used to get letters home from school saying that Brad daydreams too much and he needs to pay more attention in class.
Oh.
I was just, I was someplace else.
I was in college.
What do you daydream about?
Anything.
Do we want to know?
I mean, sometimes I would say probably the majority of the time it's something like Willy Wonka. Like I'm just going through the magical land of chocolate.
I daydream. I am so analytical that like I am always constantly surveying things that could be done better. And you guys are laughing because you know it's true.
Yeah.
But it's always like, how could, like, if you look at processes and you figure out, like, how did they get to that? How could it be better? And, like, I don't engage in a lot of those things, but sometimes.
I hate to say that I do that too, and I only know that because I'll say to my wife, you know what? They really have things figured out here. And she's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but look at the way they've figured out how to blah, blah, blah. She's like, I don't care about that.
Quirky habits that reveal an unusually high level of intelligence. Number 5, Brad, having a good sense of humor.
Yeah.
All right, number 6, being curious.
Super neat.
Skip.
Would you say you have a good sense of humor?
No, I'm a humorless person. I'm so serious and it bothers me that so many times I say something and I mean it, and you guys laugh. It's very offensive.
We just have good senses of humor over
Brad,
here,
are you
Ryan.
supposed to be laughing right now, or is this
Listen.
serious? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just told you I'm serious.
Yeah.
Humor him.
No. And so the audience knows in the future, if you hear me say something that you're like, man, that was dumb, I meant it.
Number 6, being curious. I've always been a curious person, whether it's about how a rainbow forms or why cats purr. My mind is always filled with questions. Those are not things that I am curious of, but I am constantly trying to figure things out. Wondering about things.
I love like technical things. How does this piece of machinery work? Like broadcasting, like being in here and seeing all the tech and how they make my voice turn into what you're hearing in your ears right now over the radio. All of that stuff fascinates me. I could spend hours in that server room back there just looking at the different equipment.
You were in there yesterday. I was looking for you. I'm like, why are you in the server room?
I was getting a tape measure from the guys.
I'm curious about nature.
This is new added responsibilities.
I walk around in the park before the show to clear my mind, and I wonder, have I ever heard the wolf cry to the blue corn moon? Or
do or don't, Ryan.
Grinning bobcat, why he grins?
Are you singing?
No, this is my internal monologue. It's just in a higher pitch.
It would be. Real quick here. Number 7, being forgetful. Strangely, intelligent people are apparently forgetful. How does that happen? I am forgetful. I have a lot of things in place to shore that up so that like a lot of calendars and stuff like that. But are you guys forgetful?
Mm-hmm. Does it say intelligent people are forgetful or aren't?
Just answer the question. Are you forgetful?
If it's that they are, then yes.
Number 8, being adaptable. Do you easily adjust to new situations or changes in your life?
Yes.
No.
Change is a constant in my life.
Ryan, are you adaptable?
Not really.
But I mean, as a parent, though, you have to learn to do it whether you like it or not. That's for sure. Last one, doodling.
No. I've never done that. I don't know why. I just don't. I don't get people that do.
So much doodling.
You were a doodler?
Oh, yeah.
Remember when I drew you in the middle of the show?
Yeah, when I drew you back.
Not really. The YouTube live chat poll, got to wrap this up before we hand it over to Mark Reardon. How are protests affecting the Democratic Party? 5% of you said increasing support. 32% said no change, and twice as many of that, 64%, said decreasing support. Thank you for being with us here today. We appreciate you. The Mark Reardon Show coming up next.
We're entering remodeling season. If you've considered new windows, let me recommend my friends at Window World. Mark Cox here. Here's the great thing about Window World. Not just the preferred window of our hometown St. Louis Blues, they're now the official window of the world champion Kansas City Chiefs. So if you're considering replacement windows, this is the company you want to work with. I'm a satisfied customer. I've got 2 other windows in my master bathroom. We couldn't be happier with those. They have a lifetime warranty that covers all the parts, all the glass breakage and labor. There's a reason why in just over 20 years of business, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of 72,000 plus customers in the greater St. Louis area. A Window World is fantastic. The windows are so durable. Not only do they stand behind their windows, at the showroom, they actually stood on a window right in front of me. You're going to love it. 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800 or windowworld.com.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar